Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Zay Flowers goes in motion. Lamar takes the snap. Deep drop. Steps up. Going deep. At the 5. At the goal line. Bateman is there. He makes the catch. Touchdown. Rashad Bateman. Oh, what a play.
That was a 40-yarder from Lamar to Bateman. Thank you to Ravens Radio for that one. 30-23, but the score wasn't really that tight. Ravens really ran away with this game in the second half. Another awesome Derrick Henry game. Perloff, good morning. How are you?
What do you mean the score wasn't that tight? If Quentin Johnson could catch a third down pass, then it's 23-23. Possibly like that.
They were down by 7. Quentin Johnson drops a big third down pass.
With about 60 yards in front of him.
And there's about 7.5 minutes left to go in that game. But on the flip side, the Chargers had no answer for the run game for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
The Ravens were able to go on some really long drives, including about a 7-minute drive from the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and they were able to take the lead.
Well, I could explain it very simply.
Okay, go.
If I didn't know anything about the Ravens, didn't know anything about the Chargers, and I just dropped down from another plane to watch this game, why is that big man running over those little people? I mean, the Chargers looked like a JV team against Derrick Henry. Yeah. They had no prayer. It was bizarre. They started out pretty good. The Ravens slow starting on offense.
Yep.
But then once Derrick Henry gets some steam going, oh, man, did no one want to tackle him. I mean, they try to tackle him, but they kind of sneak around and try and trip him. Nobody wanted to take him on directly, and I get it.
140 yards on 24 carries. And what's funny about it is you've got Derrick Henry as the bowling ball, and this is not new to anybody who's watching the Ravens. And then you got Justice Hill, who comes in as the speed guy, and he scored a 50-plus yard touchdown because he just couldn't be caught. The Ravens, I think this is the big thing about the Ravens. It's kind of like either you believe or you don't, because right now they look like Ravens, Lions, without a doubt, look like the two best teams in the NFL, right? And I know the Ravens are coming off a loss to the Steelers. I'm not forgetting that. But those AFC North matchups are always tough, and the Steelers kind of have their number. But overall body of work, wouldn't you say the Ravens and the Lions are the scariest right now?
That's a tough call. I can't follow you on that one because I don't think the Chiefs are going to wimp out against the run against the Ravens. I think that's a way different matchup.
Chiefs already beat the Ravens.
The Lions feel like more of a juggernaut to me than the Ravens. The Ravens, obviously, I think they're still averaging more yards per play than any team in NFL history. But I do think, obviously, the penalties and the back end problems, like if the Chargers had any receivers, there's so many opportunities against those cornerbacks that, no, I don't feel like the Ravens are as far ahead of the line, as far ahead on their conference as the Lions are. No, the Ravens are right in that mix to me with Kansas City and Buffalo. I know you're nervous about your own team, Buffalo.
No, the Ravens killed the Bills. That's the thing. Yeah. And I know that the Chiefs beat the Ravens, but that was week 2, and it was a tight game, or was that the opener? I'm sorry,
well,
it was the opener.
Really thinking about last year's playoff game where Kansas City just out-toughed them.
Well, listen, KC is going to get the Lifetime Achievement Award on all this stuff. It's like if we're just taking the temperature, though, of who is actually playing the best. You're right to point out the penalties, 9 more penalties, over 100 penalty yards. That's been a consistent thing about the Ravens. It almost feels like the only team that could beat the Ravens are themselves because of those penalties, some of the self-inflicted wounds. But if you're looking at the roster, you're looking at all the ways they can beat you. Yeah, I don't trust the defense a lot either. I understand that. But, I mean, come on. Like, they've proven it, no?
That's a pretty big thing to say, I don't trust the defense. We're talking Super Bowl. I mean, if they pulled up a flag on a deep pass interference in the end zone, if they call that, the Chargers are right there. They get the ball at the 1-yard line. I just feel like that's the strategy against the Ravens. Drop back and throw it 50 yards downfield and wait for the cornerback or the safety to mug the receiver. Yeah. I think they're the most penalized team in the league.
A lot of offsetting penalties last night that bailed them out.
Yeah. Also, too, they are sort of designed to play ahead. So the Chargers had a lot of opportunities in the first half to jump on the lead. For some reason, the Ravens offense doesn't start until the second quarter.
But when they do, 4 for 4 on touchdown drives, it comes alive. It gets scary.
Chargers had to get a big lead where you can take away the Derrick Henry option a little bit, once the Ravens get going downhill again, forget it. There's nothing you can do because Lamar is nearly perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong? Does that guy make a mistake? Is there any mistakes left in Lamar Jackson? I didn't see one last night.
No, but he barely ran last night too, which is also interesting. They did kind of contain him. I think he only had 16 rushing yards. I mean, nothing on the ground. And it didn't matter because they had Derrick Henry, they've got Justice Hill, and now they've got Flowers, and they've got Bateman, and they've got Mark Andrews, who converted a massive 4th and 1. How about the Stones on John Harbaugh going for it on 4th and 1 at his own 16 against his brother? I mean, that's like something. Like, do you bring that up at Thanksgiving and at Christmas? Can you bring that moment up? Like, remember when I went for it on 4th and 1 in my own territory like that? That play is going to live for a while in the Harbaugh household, I'm sure.
That's a great point. But it did feel like a risk because it's like I saw the Chargers defensive line and I saw the Ravens offensive line. Like after that play, like the Ravens said, forget it. They're any short yardage, we're just going for it. They're 3 for 3 on 4th down, kind of made the difference because all the scoring drives, they were way more physical up front. Again, I was like, how did the Chargers get so tiny on defense? I know they were missing a couple players that made a big impact, but they had no answer. The Chargers, it's funny though, they're up 10-0. They really need to score every drive. So that puts so much pressure on Justin Herbert. And he's good, but he's not Superman. I felt like he had to be perfect, and that's what the Ravens do to you. They make you have to be perfect on offense, but you can't stop them.
Okay, there's also this thing that the Chargers have where, and a lot of teams have it, it's not just them, but I even noticed it last week against the Bengals where they start off like house on fire, and then Herbert the offense kind of disappears for 30, 40 minutes. What happened last night, I felt like after halftime, teams trade 10-yard drives, both ending in field goals. So now it's 17-16. Ravens go on a 14-play drive that eats up about 7 minutes of clock. They score a touchdown. Chargers go 3-0. Like, you can't do that. And then on the next drive, Ravens score another touchdown. Now you're looking at 30-16, and there's how much time was left at that point? Now we're looking at 7.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The pressure's really, really on because you're down 2 scores. It's that type of, like, you can't have those 3 and outs at those times. And that's on Justin Herbert. That's on Greg Roman. That's on Quentin Johnston. That's on everybody. That is on the receiver.
No, it's not. It's not on Greg Roman. It's not on Johnston. That's on the receivers. They stink. They're terrible. They're awful. So that is it.
I'm sorry. How do you feel about the receivers?
Oh, my God. And we came in, we're like, everyone's like, they took Joe Alt at number 5 to make a statement that we're going to be a running team. Yeah, then you got left with Quentin Johnson and Jalen Reagor, and you're surprised when there's a million drops. How Jalen Reagor's on a roster is amazing to me. So to me, the key moment was when J.K. Dobbins went out because he was really
Gus
gashing.
Edwards is not the same.
No, he's not the same. He was gashing the Ravens who didn't have Roquan Smith. And once he went out, everything was on Herbert's shoulders. And that's not where the Chargers want to be. That feels like the Brandon Staley Chargers, where Justin Herbert has to throw it 50 times a game. And that is just definitely not their formula.
I'm not trying to do that thing to Justin Herbert because he's obviously a great talent. But this is the drive after the Ravens score a touchdown on a 14-play drive. It's 23-16. And here's what happens. Gus Edwards is taken down for a loss of 7 yards. J.K. Dobbins not in the game, right?
Well, that was on Herbert. I think Gus Edwards should have just let it fly right over his head. That was a whole mess. It was this
backwards, lateral. It was a bad play. Okay, so now you're looking at 2nd and 17, and Herbert passes to Will Dissly for 11 yards. So you got a lot of it back. So now you're looking at a 3rd and 6, okay? There's offsetting penalties that happen on a deep pass to Palmer.
By the way, insane. What the worst call of the night.
The holding call should never have happened.
The worst call of the night. So I'm not sure where you're going here because you've described like 7 or 10 things have already happened on this drive.
This is just what I'm saying. Now it's 3rd and 6 again, okay? And so offsetting penalties. So here we are. It's like nothing ever happened. We're back to 3rd and 6 at the Chargers' own 34. And this is where the Quentin Johnston drop happens. Now you're looking at 4th and 6. I just feel like on 3rd and 6, they had the perfect play. That should have been Johnston. I'm wondering if you have enough. I know it's at the 36, but time's a ticking. I don't know.
Their own 36.
Yeah, their own 36. Listen, John Harbaugh went for it on their own 16. It was a 4th and 1. I get that.
4th and inches, yeah.
I get that, and the 2-minute warning was approaching. I don't know.
It did. Honestly, it really wouldn't matter. There was no stopping Derrick Henry. That's the thing. The Ravens didn't score again when they got to 30, but they could have scored on any drive they wanted. They just sort of kind of held the ball, tried to run the clock.
Yeah, definitely.
It wouldn't have mattered at that point. They had to be up by 14.
Don't you have to go for it there? No.
Nah.
All right.
I don't know.
Maybe on Monday morning quarterback in this thing, but and then on the very next drive that's when the Justice Hill 51-yard touchdown happens, and then it's 30-16, as I said, and the game's over. Well,
4th and 6 is a must-pass situation. So you take away, all you have to do is take away McConkey, then who's the pass go to? Maybe you take away Disley too. Who's he throwing to?
Well, but can the Ravens actually take these guys away? To your point, Quentin Johnson dropped that ball. There was 50 yards of field in front of him.
Well, you saw the Ravens were giving Johnson one-on-one coverage, and they must have shaded over to McConkey. Because otherwise, the ball kept going to Johnson because he was standing wide open, and he kept dropping the ball. So, no, I don't think they had many options there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are McConkey or bust on offense.
He's good, though.
He's good, but eventually you got to have more than one weapon. They are really in trouble because I think teams are going to watch that. If J.K. Dobbins is out, I think the Chargers could. They have some easy games ahead, and they've proven they can beat easy teams. But what is the old narrative on the Chargers? They can't stay healthy. And you saw it last night. They were missing Denzel Perriman, their linebacker. That was huge. They just did not look in the same class physically with the Ravens.
855-212-4227. All right, do you agree with me? Ravens and Lions look like the two best teams in the league. Listen, your Eagles look good. My Bills look good. I get that, but I got to respect the head-to-head. The Ravens smoked the Bills, so I really can't put them in their class right now. I don't know what that would mean if they meet again in January, but for right now, they get the nod. And for your Eagles, listen, they look really great too. Back-to-back nights, SoFi Stadium. You get an awesome night from Saquon Barkley and then a great night from Derrick Henry. Running backs are back.
I think for me, the AFC playoff picture is matchup dependent. For example, if Baltimore is unlucky enough to draw Pittsburgh in the playoffs, that's not good. I think they don't want to see the Chiefs. I do think they want to see your Bills.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm like, your Bills don't want to see the Chiefs. Come to think of it, nobody really wants to see the Chiefs. So I cannot say it's like the Lions who are going to roll over everyone in the NFC. I just don't agree with you that the Ravens are the team to beat in the AFC.
You came in, you had a thought on the MVP conversation.
Yeah. No, I don't have a vote in the AP MVP conversation.
Well,
I think that's 50 voters. That's tragedy. Because here's how I would vote. I am if I have a choice between Saquon Barkley of the Eagles, Josh Allen of the Bills, Lamar Jackson of the Ravens, and Derrick Henry of the Ravens, I'm voting yes. Splitting it 4-way. They have ties at MVP. They remember Willie Stargell and Keith Hernandez and Steve McNair tied.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Yeah, you can definitely have a tie at MVP, and this is a 4-way tie. Because how do you split between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? Who's the MVP of the Ravens? You can't even answer that.
Well, they're going to cancel each other out. That's what's going to happen. But that's a cop-out. Come on.
I mean, Shedeur and Travis Hunter didn't cancel each other out. Everyone decided it's going to be Travis Hunter. So maybe...
Yeah, he had to do something that no one's done in years and years, ever. Basically be one of the best offensive players and one of the best defense players. That's what it took to cancel out Shedeur.
Well, it's funny. Joel Klatt was upset. He's like, Shedeur should be number 2 in Heisman voting until they lost.
Genty's having a great season.
Yeah.
But I guess,
I'm going to make
you choose, Perloff. You can't do this
left.
4-way tie. That's not how America works. Okay?
Well, I mean...
There's winners and losers.
Obviously, if I had a vote, I mean, don't make me bet against the all-time leading rusher who can hurtle backwards over men. He can fly. Right now, you're asking me on Tuesday morning after Saquon Barkley ran for 255 yards. I try not to do recency bias, but I'm only human, Maggie. How do you vote against Saquon Barkley today?
Well, you could vote for Derrick Henry today.
Yeah, Henry wasn't Saquon. He didn't run for 255. They were in the same stadium. I feel like Saquon outshined him yesterday.
Yeah, Derrick Henry only 140. What a slacker.
Can we say one thing about Lamar Jackson? MVP, no MVP, doesn't matter at all. Is there ever a point where he throws the ball into a dangerous situation? Like there's in a second when you fear an interception's coming.
That's true. When he throws it away, they're away.
Yeah, and when he throws it, it reminds me of peak Aaron Rodgers, where he sees the field so clearly that he's never going to throw it to the defender. He only has 3 picks on the year, I believe. I have to double check that. He is really clean right now.
Redraft, Lamar go number 1 overall.
Oh, redraft.
Just redraft
the entire
league.
NFL?
Yep.
Oh man. It's a holiday week, Maggie. What are you doing to us? Are you going to actually put that like
I'm trying to
we're
stir
supposed
up
to have
trouble.
fun? We're all checking the traffic reports and the weather and buying pies. I'm going to have to put all that to the side and think about this now.
Buying pies, homemade.
Who buys a pie? You guys buy pies at your house? No.
Yeah, I told you this yesterday. We special order from the French bakery around the corner.
Oh, well, that's a little bit different. That's some fancy, bougie place.
Yes. I mean, if it was up to me, I would bring a Trader Joe's pumpkin pie because those are quite delicious.
Sorry,
I don't know.
I didn't mean to shame people who buy pies. That's fine. Some people don't have time, like us.
I don't know. You got to have somebody in the family that can make a pie.
Oh, my mom will make pies, but we want to bring something from a New York bakery.
Okay.
That's like
Okay,
our
That's
thing.
a little different.
that's
It's
a
a
little
specialty item.
But even so,
I shouldn't shame people. You buy store-bought, that's fine. It's cool.
What-
I'll tell you what, the people,
Maggie,
I love my in-laws because they can't tell the difference.
Maggie, are you making a pie?
I am. I'm making a pumpkin pie. I'm in charge of apps and desserts.
Pumpkin pie, right? Because there's such a massive difference between a homemade and a store-bought pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
It's just a crust and pumpkin filling out of a can. What difference does it make?
I'm doing something different this year, and I'm going graham cracker crust on my pumpkin pie. I'm calling it audible.
I
Wow,
like it.
graham cracker crust. That is like
Something I also bought.
first pie a 12-year-old knows how to make. Oh,
Yeah.
you bought the graham cracker
I
crust.
did.
Oh, you
Technically,
are a fraud.
I sent my
fraud
husband to
alert.
buy it.
Do we have a sounder for fraud alert? You bought the graham cracker crust and
I'm
you're
gonna
bragging
mix
about your
up
homemade
the
pie?
other stuff. I'll mix it up myself.
Oh my God.
By the way, I can't even talk because I'm in charge of appetizers and desserts. We're going to my in-laws, my sister-in-laws. My mom's actually making the stuff.
Yeah, your mom's a professional chef and makes the
Exactly.
most amazing things ever.
Well, that's the thing. I'm saving everyone at the party because there's no way I'm going to make it better. My mom's just really good at this stuff. She's literally professional in the restaurant and catering business for 30 plus years. Like, everyone wants it to be Pam's stuff, not mine.
Yeah, remember those biscotti she made
You
for
got more
everyone?
coming.
Andrew Bogus talks about them, I don't know, about 3 times a week, all season long, not even in the holiday season. He's like, in May, he's like, oh, remember those biscotti?
I put the order in. You guys are sitting pretty.
Because they're not crunchy like you
know.
get at the store. They're soft biscotti.
I know.
Why doesn't everyone do them that
Well,
way?
biscotti, technically, you're supposed to bake 2 times. My mom just bakes them once.
It's like that crumble cookie thing.
Yeah.
You
but
know
better.
those stores? Yeah, well, I haven't had your mom's biscotti, but crumble cookies are, man.
That's because you don't eat sweets.
Yeah, I know. Because once I
guy.
start, but crumble cookies I will eat.
Okay. Why? Because Tobias Harris owns them? 855-212-4227. Started professional basketball player, owns into a cookie franchise and starts dropping it in every post-game interview that he does to try to goose up the sales.
I mean, that's smart, right?
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, the Pistons player?
Yeah.
You should hear my 12-year-old and 14-year-old talk about that franchise. And like
With Sixers?
No, they don't care about
The
that.
crumble cookies.
The crumble cookie thing for teenagers that's a thing.
I passed by one of them the other
Yeah.
day. The line's out the door. I don't get it.
Well, they're amazing because soft
Get a
cookies are the
cookie
best. A slightly undercooked chocolate chip cookie, I'm putting that at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, there's a salmonella risk.
Yeah, I don't care. I used to eat raw batter as a kid, probably 3 times a week.
That
Did
explains
you guys?
a lot.
You guys don't like the cookie? I would make my mom make chocolate chip cookies just so I could eat the batter. Then I wouldn't even eat the cookies.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah, and brownie mix. Oh my God,
It's so good. It's also living dangerously.
brownie mix though doesn't really have eggs in it the way we would make it. Instant brownie mix, you're okay. I don't. Living dangerously. It was the 80s. You could anything goes.
Just smoking your Marlboros, eating raw eggs.
Yeah, you want all these preservatives in the food, Maggie?
Well, I know. That's a big topic. 855-212-4227. Okay, what do we do there? A lot. Are the Ravens and the Lions the 2 best teams in the NFL? You're welcome to weigh in
Yeah.
on that. Also, the MVP race. Is it so who are you going with?
Yeah, I told you.
You can't pick 4 people.
Nope.
Dude.
I can do whatever I want. Names on the show. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen. Also put up a poll. Is it acceptable to buy a pie at the store and bring it to your Thanksgiving dinner?
I mean, you could also just put a bunch of whipped cream or, powdered sugar on it. Say you made it at home. It's your word against nobody's. Who's going to call you out?
Maggie, I don't
Hilda?
even
What does
want
she know? She's practically blind.
I don't even want to hear from you. You bragging about your homemade pumpkin pie. You bought the crust.
Yeah, I definitely did.
So all you have to do is plop the can of pumpkin stuff in there.
Listen, they said homemade. It's coming from my home. Technically. 855-212-4227. All right, we got a lot to do. Perloff mentioned the weather. It's our second favorite topic on the show after food. We'll tell you what's going on, how it's going to impact the Thanksgiving Day games. See you guys on the phone as well if you want to weigh in on the MVP conversation. All that and more next.
Sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Okay, I have mixed emotions on this one, Maggie, because full disclosure, I was not in on Saquon Barkley coming to the Eagles because I have a lot of friends in my life who are Giants fans, and they all said he's going to get hurt and he will disappoint you because it feels great and then it goes away.
Full disclosure, you also didn't want your team to trade for A.J. Brown. So.
Yeah. I still don't want that. I didn't get that trade. You don't pay a wide receiver. Yes.
All right.
Okay. You wanted to fire your coach, and you are on the verge of the Super Bowl every year. You still think the Dolphins are going to win the AFC East somehow.
They've got the inside track now.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Saquon Barkley's been amazing. The debate has emerged. Can you give him the MVP if the O-line is really the MVP? Because when Lane Johnson, the right tackle, is not there, the Eagles lose pretty much every game. So the question is, if you take that O-line away, as Saquon is great, it's a chicken or the egg thing. Can you vote for him for MVP when you have the number one O-line? It's a great system debate. Do you have a thought on that?
I think you definitely can. But let's go to the phones, 855-212-4227. Gary is in Vancouver. Gary, what do you think about Barkley as the MVP?
Well, I kind of agree with your producer there, or your partner there, that I saw the game, and I've been watching. I'm a 66-year-old guy that's been watching football. I've seen.
You've seen a lot of good football and bad football.
What's that?
I said you've seen a lot of good football and bad football. What do you think about Barkley?
I've seen good football and bad football. I've seen. I was a huge Dallas Cowboy fan when they had their huge offensive line, and Philadelphia's offensive line is just. It isn't very. The guy Barkley is 6 foot and 225, and it isn't hard to go through a hole that you can put a pickup through.
Gary, I understand it, but here's the thing, and thank you for the phone call. Just because the offensive line is doing their job well doesn't mean Saquon Barkley is also not doing his job well. Like, they both have to work in tandem. No kidding. Do we not? We should talk about this every time we give the quarterback an MVP. What quarterback's winning MVP with a crap sieve offensive line? It doesn't happen. That's why offensive line is so important.
But it's different. Quarterback is less dependent on everyone around him than running back and wide receiver. One stat, Saquon has 616 rushing yards before contact, meaning no one even touched him. That is the most by any running back in the first 11 games of the season since 2000. He is, you saw the holes. There's just he's not getting touched. There's no one there.
Okay, and then when he's getting to the second level, what's he doing? He's showing the breakaway speed. You talked about the backwards hurdle. That didn't happen at the line of scrimmage. He's doing a lot in the pass game.
No, he's fantastic, but it is the O-line is part of the story. And Saquon says it too. Every game he's like, man, did you see my O-line crush it? So, and also A.J. Brown's a huge part of the story. You mentioned him. Yep. You gotta account for him. The Eagles are undefeated with A.J. Brown this year, and they're not nearly as good when he's off the field. So, yeah, it is a team game.
So you're making a case against Barkley.
Yeah, I could easily make the case. Because I'm a huge system guy. Listen, I think the MVP is a stupid award anyway because it's the ultimate team sport. It's not the NBA where one guy can win the whole thing.
Sure.
You have 11 guys on both sides of the ball. You're right. A quarterback is dependent. I do think a quarterback is less dependent. Obviously, they touch the ball every play. They can make things happen. Running back is a very dependent position because when the defense wants to put everybody in the box, it's a lot harder for the running back to do anything.
Yeah, someone should have told that to the Chargers last night. There was a lot of light boxes when you got Derrick Henry running downhill. I don't know if it would have mattered.
The boxes weren't that light. They were just little players trying to tackle a big man.
Little players.
How about the play where Derrick Henry stiff-armed 2 guys in a row? That was ridiculous. Yes, honestly, the Chargers are way too small up front. Watch him. He's going to bring in some beef in the offseason after that game last night.
855-212-4227. Okay, lots to do, including a weather report from Green Bay for Thanksgiving. We'll get to that in a minute. Andrew Bogish back with us on this Tuesday. Hey, Bogues.
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Whoop. The Chargers hadn't allowed more than 20 points all season until the last 2 weeks. They gave up 27 to the Bengals, but still won. 2 weekends ago, they weren't so lucky last night.
On 3rd and 3, they give it to Justice Hill. Swooping left side, crosses midfield. He's to the 40. Charger 30. Leg race 20. Justice Hill 10. He's in. Touchdown Ravens. Justice Hill goes 51 yards. And the Ravens extend their lead.
Jerry Sandusky, Ravens Radio. Baltimore scoring on its first 3 possessions of the second half to open a 30-16 lead. The Chargers did put 7 on the board in the last minute, but could not recover the onside kick. So they lose 30-23, ending their 4-game winning streak. As you just heard, run defense, the biggest problem for Jim Harbaugh, with the Ravens putting 212 on the ground on the board.
They ran the ball. They ran the ball real well. We didn't better block destruction, just across the board. But give them credit. They did a heck of a job.
Jim is now 0-3 against his big brother.
What was that word he just said? Block extraction? Is that what he just said? Better block. Well, regardless.
Yeah, no, I heard it originally, and now I can't remember what it was.
But it's interesting. So he's saying the guys could not get off any of the blocks. Yeah, I just felt like they didn't. It looked like a JV run defense against our varsity run defense.
Man, I also get it. I told you guys this yesterday. I can't beat my older brother at anything. He's got the mental edge on me. And I don't know if this is the same because, there's 53 guys on the team and not just me versus him. But it is tough to beat your older brother.
Well, yeah, I hear you. But, maybe it's because the Ravens are very much a better team, right? As your older brother got better skills.
It was a 2.5-point spread. Chargers are home,
Better block destruction.
Block distraction.
Better block destruction.
Destruction, it looks like he's saying.
Better block destruction.
Oh, destruction, you're right.
Oh, I hear distraction.
I hear distraction, too.
And
I think he messed up.
I don't know what that means either.
I think he meant extraction.
I think it means block destruction, like they got to destroy these blocks, and it wasn't happening.
Better block destruction.
Honestly, this is like football corporate speak, and I know all of us in our regular lives hate it when people are like, let's put a pin in that. Let's circle back. Just following up. It's so annoying, and I think this is the football example. This is a sort of a local thing. We used to interview Brian Cashman all the time, the general manager of the Yankees, and he used to corporate speak. I'm like, you don't even know what you're saying right now. You're just on one. Well, these are words that don't go together.
That guy probably wakes up in a suit, Brian Cashman's Yankees. I'm not surprised by that.
My wife works from home, so I'll hear her on conference calls and Zoom meetings, and the HR words that these people use, it's unbelievable.
It's just all CYA.
But it's all
what did we say? Nothing. Nothing got said in this meeting. Absolutely nothing.
Not even that. It's just fancy words for simple things that as if they get points for saying silo. I mean, don't be in your silo. And you're taking this way too seriously.
Also,
better block destruction.
I don't appreciate when people call it hey team. It's no, we know teams. We're working. I like you guys. I'm looking out for everybody. But are we cover teams? Are we really a team in the way the Ravens are a team? No one here ever breaks a finger. No one's ever getting carted out of the building. Well, I guess EJ that one time.
Yes, I was carted off the field. In fact, we're closer to a team than probably the Jets and Giants.
All right, I stand corrected. Back to you, Bogus.
Nobody's got it better than the Ravens.
Daniel Jones cleared waivers yesterday afternoon, so he's now officially a free agent. And Jets interim coach Jeff Ulbrich said yesterday Aaron Rodgers will definitely start Sunday against Seattle, despite the rumors about injuries, unhappiness, shutting Rodgers down. Ulbrich saying the QB is healthier now than he has been earlier this season.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
No lead was safe on night 1 of the Maui Invitational. Number 12, North Carolina, down 56-35 to Dayton early second half, but they won 92-90. Thankfully for the Tar Heels, R.J. Davis in year 7 in college basketball, still around the score 30 to lead that comeback.
Stepping High School.
Ranked Auburn was down 18 late first half against 5th-ranked Iowa State.
Broom has it, and Auburn can hold for the last shot.
And you want to put the ball in the hands of Baker Mazar. He's been the guy that's got you here.
Jones doesn't go, the tip by Broom. 1.2 left, no timeouts for the Cyclones, the heave, and Auburn has won it.
They win at 83-81 on that Johnny Broom putback again after being down 18 just before halftime. Pro Hoops, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 37 in the Thunder's 130-109 win in Sacramento. The Grizzlies smoked the Blazers 123-98. John Morant, 22 points and 11 assists. They're missing 8 with a hip injury. And the Mavs won in Atlanta 129-119 with Kyrie Irving scoring 22 of his 32 after halftime. Major League Baseball has adjusted the Rays' schedule to avoid summer storms in Tampa since they'll be playing without a roof at the Yankees minor league complex this season. The Rays now play 19 of their first 22 games at home, 37 home games before May 28th, and then 64 of their last 108 on the road. That includes just 8 home games apiece in July and August.
Imagine if they had any fans. They'd be up in arms.
Well,
I mean, the fans they have probably are screwed, like feel
awful
right now.
This is a pretty good excuse to have a generational hurricane, though. Do you think the fans would really be mad?
No, but I mean...
Well, I mean, like, I'm not going to sit in thunderstorms now. Yeah. I'll take this. Get me there in April and May, not July and August. Humidity's my enemy. No
logical.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It is a good excuse. I get that.
I feel like they're just throwing away this season, though, right? Like that's the thing that would upset me. It's like, well, we're definitely not winning anything.
Well, maybe it rallies the team. You just described. I've never been to that Yankees facility. You said it's really nice.
It is nice, but it's definitely a minor league facility. But it is very nice.
I think this could be a cool story. You know, they all rally together in the minor league facilities. It's like Major League, the movie.
I just feel like any time outside of the Thunder or with the Hornets playing in Oklahoma City, every time a team is displaced and they have to play somewhere else for a long period of time, it just always doesn't go well in terms of wins and losses.
Yeah, I mean, because they're human beings. You know, it's like you have to juggle your family life and all of that stuff.
But that's why they're playing at this stadium in Tampa.
Right.
They are still technically home when they're home. They're just going to go long stretches of not being home. They're not like completely relocated.
Right. I think the other part is going to be, I mentioned about not having fans. I'm kind of joking around a little, but, you know, it's a smaller park. So it could create this really cool kind of atmosphere where it feels like this, you know, the fans are really intense. The problem is, like, you are at the Yankees house.
Also, right.
It's like all Yankees stuff all everywhere. But anyway.
Also, a lot of Northeastern fans come down and root for their teams in Florida, right? Isn't that? I've never been to a game there, but it seems like it'd be a lot more Yankees fans than Rays fans at those games. Yeah, I don't know. It's a best. I actually kind of like the way they handled this. I think it was smart because we were talking about moving them to another city, right? What were our options? They were all
Orlando.
Weird. Yeah, Orlando, that's pretty far away.
Yeah, I know, but no, this is a good solution. It's just it feels like it's gonna be very haphazard.
I mean, now I'm kind of hoping the Rays get off to a great start because then the story of baseball, but a big storyline will be, can they overcome having to play basically a million road games second half of the season? Yeah. And I think that's a possibility.
Well, I mean, if this works, and maybe a team could think about playing in that cornfield they have set up for once a year. As they're like,
the Field
just
of Dreams?
get lower. Yeah, the Field of Dreams. Like, you know, first they go to a minor league stadium, then they go to a cornfield. Next year, to have a team playing in a sandlot. It's going to be an awesome trend in baseball.
Last thing from me, some hockey scores. The Hurricanes scored 5 times in the third period to beat the Stars 6-4, extending their home win streak to 8. The Lightning scored 5 times in the first period for an 8-2 rout of Colorado. Guys, back to you.
I have, based off what you were saying there, Bogus, I have the dream scenario for Daniel Jones. This would be the best possible outcome.
Former Giants quarterback got his release yesterday.
Yes. I want to save it. It's so good. It would be the most delicious irony in the history of the NFL.
Did you use delicious on purpose?
Well, Maggie got me starting to think about Thanksgiving desserts, so yes.
There's nothing about Daniel Jones's game that's ever been described as delicious. But we'll get Perloff's take next.
Dave Gettleman will disagree.
Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. All right, I promised a delicious, because it's Thanksgiving and everything is about good tasting food, delicious, ironic outcome for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, do you want to do like quick recap on everything that's happened over the last 48 hours with the Giants? Because it feels like a little bit of a rock bottom here. Jones has to ask for his release. Then you got the team, both the wide receiver, who is a first-round pick, calling the team soft. Pro Bowl defensive lineman calling the team soft.
Right. Daniel Jones cleared waivers yesterday, so he's a free agent. Anybody could get him.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew gets hurt, so the Raiders are a lot of people's lead candidate for Daniel Jones. Aiden O'Connell, I guess, practiced yesterday, so the Raiders need a quarterback. They get Daniel Jones. There are 3-2-9 teams. The Jags, Giants, and the Raiders all vying for the number 1 pick. Jags don't really care because they have Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence comes back this week. Take them out of it. It is a head-to-head battle, the Giants and the Raiders for the number 1 pick. What if it comes down to Week 18 and the Giants need the Raiders to lose and the Raiders turn to Daniel Jones, and on the key drive, Daniel Jones, as usual, misses the receiver, and that is why the Raiders have the worst record in the NFL, and the Giants get the number 2 pick and miss out on a quarterback because of Daniel Jones stinking for the Raiders. Wouldn't that just be so Giants? I love this scenario.
Why are you the way that you are?
I was going to say, you wanted Bogusch to stick around for this?
Yes.
Man, he's already in here. He can't leave.
Everyone thinks that it's rock bottom watching Saquon kill it for the Eagles and Leonard Williams kill it for the Seahawks and Xavier McKinney dominate for the Green Bay Packers. What if Daniel Jones gets to another team and actually hurts the Giants by being so bad? That would just be so funny. I would just die.
I thought we may have killed Manny yesterday. It turns out we brought the body bag back in, we unzipped it, and we just started going to town again. Bogusch, you weren't here for this yesterday. You avoid some of the shrapnel, but now you're getting it. What do you think of Perloff's plan?
Yeah, I think Manny's question is a fair one. Like, who hurt you? I don't understand why.
Hurt people.
Why are these thoughts in your head? It was bad enough people thought he could become a Cowboy and play against the Giants on Thursday of this week. Well, I don't need him doing anything to hurt the Giants anymore.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, the Giants. Why are you Giants fans? Why do you want to win football games? What are you, crazy?
No. I don't want to win football games. I don't want the specific thing that you just mentioned of Daniel Jones messing things up.
You want this team to focus on tanking so bad. I mean, this is like
no more wins.
Honestly, and we're gonna have Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl Director, on later. I think there's one quarterback in the top 5, maybe. I think you need to get Shedeur if you're the Giants. I don't know if he'll come there. But like if they screw this up and it feels like they're going to, then that'd be the real problem this year. Not that they're bad.
Okay, so head in the hands, still Manny. Manny, this is like the silver lining. You could get Shedeur Sanders. You watch Colorado, he's good. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot more with Shedeur. You're getting Dion. You're getting Dion talking into a microphone about your team that could be a distraction or whatever. But he's definitely looks like the best quarterback in the class. I don't know if he's going to end up being the best quarterback, but wouldn't you rather have him than Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck, the turnover machine, or one of these other guys? Like, Bogusch, Manny, Perloff's giving you good stuff here once you get past the revenge fantasy weird thing about how Daniel Jones plays into it. But don't you want Shedeur?
Well, you're going to have to fight for it. Like, you can't win a game. Like, you can't win one more game.
I know. And don't forget, in New York, we went through this with the Jets in the Trevor Lawrence year, where they were the worst team, and then they missed out because they won 2 stupid games.
They won 2 stupid games.
Remember Greg Williams did all-out blitz on a freaking Hail Mary, Henry Ruggs touchdown.
Honestly, I don't think the Giants have it in them to lose every game. I think they're so incompetent as a franchise, they'll blow this.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I mean,
they can't even lose properly.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean,
listen, it's hard to do, right? Because guys on the field are playing for something. A lot of guys are playing for, pride and wanting to stay in the league, put good stuff on tape, and sometimes incentives to reach different mile markers.
Also, the coaches don't want to be fired.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Yeah, I mean, they don't play a truly bad team like them again.
Well, Cowboys.
Yeah, but the Cowboys never count. Like, it's Giants, Cowboys. I don't care. I mean, they just won in Washington with Cooper Rush. So, and the Saints are probably pretty bad too. But it's still,
to be fair, that Washington Commanders game or that Cowboys Commanders game was the dumbest game ever played.
Right, but the Cowboys won. So they were, I guess, were slightly less dumb when it mattered. I mean, I don't trust the Giants to not be the dumbest team on the field. And Derek Carr at least still plays at the moment for the Saints.
What about Week 18 against an Eagles team that might be resting their starters? That's a danger spot.
Well, Giants haven't beat the Eagles in a century.
The Giants haven't beat the Eagles since I was in diapers. Do you think the Giants will ever be as close as 3.5-point underdogs ever again this season in my life?
Well, they're 4.5.
That's what we're clamoring for.
Well, they're 4.5 against Dallas.
So that they're less than a touchdown underdog?
That's scary. I mean, Vegas likes them against Dallas. 4.5 is nothing. I couldn't believe that. I think Dallas is worse than you might think, Manny. Also, Cooper Rush is kind of hurt. We were surprised by that headline yesterday.
Is that number going to be lower when they play the Saints?
At home, maybe.
Yeah, I'd watch out for that Philly game at the end.
Hold on. All dodging the question. Do you want Shedeur? Where I don't get the silence. I don't get the silence. He's better than Daniel Jones.
No, I know.
My varsity quarterback at Herschel High School is better than Daniel Jones.
Right. I don't know how much of a headache that whole thing will be.
It's not going to. It's you get the total package.
I know. That's the problem.
I don't know if I want the package.
Well, you're seeing Malik Neighbors now. But here's the thing. If Shedeur and Malik Neighbors, maybe they kind of rein each other in a little bit.
No, Malik Neighbors is not reining in Dion. Like the Giants don't need Dion using his whatever Monday or Tuesday afternoon press conference in Colorado to be bashing Brian Daboll's play calling because Shedeur's getting messed up on Sunday.
It's a risk. It is a risk. But here's the thing. Shedeur doesn't seem to be... I guess he creates some headlines, but he's not really the distraction. You're right. It's Dion. But at the same time, Dion said that he's going to basically handpick where Shedeur and Travis Hunter go. So if he goes to the Giants, well, that's everybody signing off on this. So you really can't complain after that, right? I never saw Archie Manning come out and complain after they steered Eli to the Giants. Once you do that, what's done is done, right?
It also feels like if Shedeur is good, like, does it really matter? Like, the Giants are arguably the worst team in the NFL. So, okay, Shedeur brings a lot of flash and a lot of headlines or whatever, but if he's a really good player, I just feel like a lot of this other stuff you worry about later, right? Okay, if you're a good team and now maybe it's becoming a distraction, you worry about that later. Like, right now, you just got to get out of the darkness, so to speak. Like, you're so far away from being a relevant team. You just need talent. And, I mean, the kid clearly is one of the more talented kids in this draft.
What if you fall to 3 and both quarterbacks, there are only 2 high first-round quarterbacks, Shedeur and Cam Ward, they're gone. How about Travis Hunter? I feel like the teams have no talent bringing Travis Hunter, and all of a sudden you've upgraded on both sides of the ball. That's my theory, that he's a depth chart filler.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he plays both sides, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
But is your talent a little bit wasted if you don't have the quarterback in place?
Yes.
I mean, it is the NFL.
Yeah, no, they do need to draft a quarterback. It's a rough quarterback draft. You know, Kuiper's big board has Shedeur 1, Cam Ward 2, Jalen Milroe 3. And Milroe's not going in the top 5.
I'm wondering if Milroe's going back to college.
But also,
last week.
We didn't have 6 quarterbacks in the first 11 picks last year. The world fell on its face when Michael Penix was picked. So, like, Jalen Milroe could absolutely go 3.
Well, yeah, in the Anthony Richardson model, yeah, I don't see that. I just don't think he's big enough. Also, too, by the way, Shedeur, I want to see him measured at the combine. I've kept saying, like, he's a little bit older. He's not a Trevor Lawrence prospect. I think he's going to be 23 by the draft. He's good, but is he like a generational guy? I think it's just he's a supply and demand thing. He's the only real NFL quarterback out there.
Right. Which is why I think if the Giants don't have that top 2 pick, then anything's on the table at 3. Because you can't, if you think Jalen Milroe can be your starter for 8 years and you take him at 3 and you
can't
forward.
take the Giants can't take Jalen Milroe is developmental.
The Giants can't not take a quarterback in this draft, though.
I know. But
that's kind of what got him into trouble the last time, though.
All
because
these times
they took Saquon Barkley in the 2018 draft when they could have had Josh Allen, they could have had Lamar Jackson, and they didn't do it. And then the next year they end up reaching for Daniel Jones. Last year could have taken a quarterback. Again, we don't know how J.J. McCarthy and Penix are going to be. Could have taken a quarterback. They take Malik Neighbors. Now this year they're forced to take a quarterback they could reach.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the New York Football Giants.
But you're not reaching if you're the number 1 pick. That's not a reach. Unless you think Shedeur is just not worth it. But I think he is. I think he's going to be good.
I think he's marginal as a number 1 pick. I think he will be the number 1 overall pick, but I think it's closer to Kyler Murray than Andrew Luck, in my sense.
Okay, but sometimes we're too quick on the generational stuff anyway. And, sometimes it's okay. Just if he's not known as this generation, he's going to have other expectations that come just with his dad being Dion. But
right, but I think it's more of the demand is so high for a quarterback that he's going number 1, not because the supply is so great. Like last year, you had Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Yeah,
like those guys were going top 5.
And Jaden.
The real question becomes if it's the Jaguars who are number 1, which is very possible for Manny and Bo, because like how much are you willing to spend
to trade into the pick?
There's no way, dude. There's no way. The Jaguars are so much more talented than the Giants. And
they lost by 40 points.
Yeah, but Trevor Lawrence, that's Mac Jones. Wait till Trevor Lawrence goes back. There's no way. I will bet you anything they're going to win some games.
Coming up, lots more to do, including an update on Brock Purdy's shoulder before a big game this weekend in Buffalo. My stomping ground. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Positive update on Brock Purdy. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Brock Purdy and most of the 49ers were sidelined against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, Pearl, and it was ugly. Green Bay won that game going away, and it looks like the 49ers season is basically hanging on by a thread. So here was Kyle Shanahan yesterday giving you an update on Brock Purdy. He said that he did some light throwing, and there is no pain.
He did some light throwing today, and it went all good. He had, we didn't push it that hard, but did some light throwing, which was a good sign that the pain hadn't come back, and we'll rest it tomorrow and see how he feels as the week goes.
Okay, more from Shanahan. Now, it was a Jay Glazer report on Sunday that Purdy had gotten a second MRI, which had not been previously disclosed. Here's Shanahan on that.
Yes, it's true. I mean, most guys we always get more than one. When you get one and it seems all right, then you have some pain later in the week, so you get another one to make sure you didn't miss anything. And so that's what he did, I think, after the Thursday practice.
Kyle, what is the nature of his injury?
Shoulder.
Okay, so shoulder, quarterback, never a good sign, bro.
Did he say what's the nature of his injury? Shoulder? Or
Yeah.
We knew it's a shoulder. Thanks. Yeah, by the way, you teased an optimistic report. The quarterback's doing light throwing on a Monday, and he's going to be out there winging it on a Sunday? That sounds kind of scary.
Shoulder.
At least he's out there actually throwing, because last Thursday the shoulder locked up to a point where he couldn't even throw, and that's why he sat out. This is the problem. Kyle Shanahan, and maybe no coach, but Kyle Shanahan does not get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to injury updates, because we were told that Christian McCaffrey would have been ready to go week 1 if it had been a playoff game, and didn't see him for another 2 months until week 10. So I don't know. If I'm a 49er fan, I'm not all of a sudden saying, whew, like dodged a bullet there. Who knows? And the worst messenger for all of this injury stuff has been Kyle Shanahan. So I'm not going to back off, and I don't know if any of us are going to back off thinking that the 49ers season is likely over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, forget Purdy is one issue. The other issue is obviously Nick Bosa, who, even when he's out there, doesn't seem to be able to last a whole game. Their defense, how this defense fell apart so quickly. I guess Dre Greenlaw is practicing now, but you can't. This is designed with Brock Purdy, a quarterback. You need a top half of the league defense. So generally, like, everything seems to be falling apart. It is 2020 all over again, when injuries just gutted them after their first Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs. They came out and, it's the Nick Mullins year, I call it. They just did not. They lost Bosa in week 2, and everything fell apart. So, yeah, I just think injuries is the bottom line. They just can't overcome this, because even when they get one guy back, another guy goes down.
Now, if I believed Kyle Shanahan, let's envision a world where Kyle Shanahan is, and any coach, and we're talking about Shanahan now, but I get this applies to everybody. Let's just imagine a world where he's telling the truth, and that this is going to be fine, and Purdy's going to be fine, and he's missed time before, and he's come back and played well, so this is not crazy. But if he was actually 100%, this is a team that's still only a game out of first in the loss column. They're 5-6. It's not like this is one of these 2-win teams and 3-win teams, not the Panthers. They're still the San Francisco 49ers, and the rest of the division doesn't look like it's all that dominant. It's not like they play in a division, Perloff, with the, Detroit Lions sitting there just mowing guys down. If I actually believe that Purdy was going to be healthy, I think there could be a chance. I can't get myself to trust Kyle Shanahan, because they were so deceptive, I think, about the McCaffrey injury, that they have lost the benefit of the doubt in terms of being honest about injuries.
Yeah, but even, by the way, if you think Purdy is back, like, what do you think he's going to do? Like, is it? I mean, I think even it's not like
play better than Brandon Allen.
play better than Brandon Allen, but what about all the other guys?
Well, listen, you need McCaffrey to come back and round into form. And I don't know if that's a pipe dream now or he's just injured and we're just going to see this 3 yards a carry McCaffrey or 2.5 yards a carry McCaffrey.
But even bigger than that, what's wrong with Debo? Is he just old or is he hurt?
Well, here's the thing about Debo. Debo, to me, could be one of those Travis Kelce situations where it looks pretty bleak in the regular season, and then all of a sudden in the playoffs, he's taking balls out of the backfield. He's being Debo again. He's coming up for big first downs. Like, I would like to think that Kyle Shanahan is still super creative, and Debo is the ultimate joystick. Like, you can just do anything with him or put him anywhere. So I'm not totally writing off that Debo is not going to have a big moment or that he wouldn't be big in a playoff game.
Debo Samuel averaged 6.1 yards per carry last year during the regular season. He is averaging 2.9 yards per carry this year. His yards per game as a receiver are way down, and just eyeball it. Like, dude can't get around the edge at all. There's very few defenders who cannot outrun Debo Samuel right now. If that happens, I would be utterly shocked.
855.
Also, he can't catch, by the way. The interception on Brandon Allen was right through his hands.
855-212-4227. I mean, everything was going wrong in that Packer game. Leland is our Sacramento-based 49er fan. Good morning, Leland.
Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning.
Anyway, so I think the 49ers are not going to be contenders, for the rest of the season. And if we look over their remaining schedule, there are 3 teams I don't think they're going to get by. They're not going to get by the Bills. They're not going to get by the Lions. And they're not going to get by Miami either. Those are 3 really good teams that are peaking. And if they lose 3 more times, that's just going to be too many losses, to get into the playoffs or even contend in the playoffs. Even if they squeak into the playoffs, they're such a bad team right now, they'll get eliminated in that very first round. And here's a few problems that I see with the 49ers. Sorensen hasn't elevated the defense this year. The play calling lacks creativity. They blitz 1 or 2 times, a game. The offense continues to have problems getting into the end zone. They get carved, the defense gets carved up. These are big problems. And I just don't see it happening.
Leland, I get it, and I totally understand the bar was set so high for the 49ers. It couldn't be higher, right? And thank you for the call. The bar is Super Bowl or bust. But here's where I'm going to give you a little bit of some silver linings. Game in Buffalo, is that going to be tough? Yes. Are you at a coaching advantage? You are. Chicago, the Rams, at Miami, again, you're at a coaching advantage. Like, Kyle Shanahan birthed Mike McDaniel, Like, I think that the master can always beat the pupil, and I don't think Miami's playing that great. Miami is playing better, and they happen to face some pretty bad teams recently. So let's see what happens when Miami goes to Green Bay. And then Detroit, listen, Detroit's going to be hard. Again, you might be at the coaching advantage. Dan Campbell's pretty good. But you beat them last year, and you staked them to a 3-score lead, and you still beat them.
It's not just Dan Campbell. It's Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn. There's no coaching advantage.
They beat them last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that was close. The Lions are a different team now. It doesn't matter. I mean, they can't win without Bosa. They can't win without Purdy. You need your players to be healthy. So I know what you're saying. This feels like
Purdy could be back. Again, we have to believe Shanahan that he's telling us the truth. And has anyone even said when Bosa could be back? This is not a season-ending injury.
Yeah, but you've watched him this year. How many times does he go down to that midsection hip area? I just they're 5-10 without Bosa all time. And they're basically win 80% of their games with him. And it's not just, it's all of them. It's Debo. You could say, remember last year they lost a few games because Trent Williams and Debo went out?
Yep.
They can't win without Debo. They can't win without Bosa. They're not great without Kittle. And they need McCaffrey. There's just so many factors. They need all these guys. It feels like we're 0 for 5 on the key players.
855-212-4227 if you want to weigh in on the 49ers. We mentioned Green Bay just quickly. So Green Bay, obviously, one of the 3 hosts for the Thanksgiving games on Thursday. I'm just looking up the quick weather report. Now, clear as a bell up until Thursday. It was going to be sunny yet cold. High of 30 today, Perloff, to our friends in Green Bay, but partly cloudy and a lot of sunshine. Thursday, Well, that's where the yucky stuff starts coming in. So we're looking at a high of, right now they're saying 33, but it looks like the chance of snow at the moment just hovering around 25%. The low, though, so the high is 33. The low, 20 degrees with scattered snow flurries and showers.
Yeah, I mean, what's the number for Tua? It's 40, right? Where he has a 1 over 40 or
40
below
degrees.
40.
Yeah.
Tua said, I'm going to kill some narratives. I think, how about this scenario? The Chiefs game in the playoffs last year where the Dolphins lost was so cold that anything compared to that feels relatively warm, and they're not freaked out by the cold weather.
I like that. Now, that was, 20 degrees below? So that was,
yeah,
they should have never played
crazy.
that game. It was so stupid that they did that. But yeah, you're right. He's now felt as cold as basically it will ever be in his life.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting game. If you're the Packers, you want to just run it right down the throat of the Dolphins and use Josh Jacobs to control the game. I like the Packers at home. If this game was in Miami and it wasn't cold, I would probably like the Dolphins. Because you watch a lot of the Packers, don't they feel like they're dying to lose a game at some point?
Yeah, they're not a buttoned-up operation. They can be sloppy at times. They miss plays. Here's some all-time numbers for you. So when the temperature is 23 degrees or colder, Miami is 3-7 all-time. And Miami has won only once since 1992. That's 32 years ago when it's 23 degrees or colder.
So I wonder if...
It was 10 degrees, I'm sorry. In 2008, the Dolphins did win at Kansas City 38-31. It was 10 degrees.
Yeah, I wonder, is that the high? So you said between 23 and 33. What time is game time? That's a late game, right?
8:15 p.m. Eastern cutoff. And by the way, Tua, you mentioned it, an 0-7 record when the temperature is 40 degrees or colder.
This is going to be a disappointing Thanksgiving because the Lions are going to blow the doors off the Bears, and then no one is. If you watch Giants Cowboys and you have a serious football addiction problem, and then this game is going to be a muckety muck. We're not going to see Tua slinging it around with Jordan Love. So what are you giving me, Maggie? You're giving me nothing to watch on Thanksgiving. I'd have to watch. Is Mississippi playing Mississippi State? What is going to happen here?
10.5-point favorite. That's the Lions over the Bears at the noon game, noon Eastern time. And then I disagree with you. I mean, Cowboys, Giants, people are going to watch that game. It's 4:30, though, and our family eats at 4. So that's going to be tough for me.
I want to I'll tell you right now, take that game tape and have Elon Musk put it in a rocket and send it to Venus because it's going to be hot garbage at best. That's an optimistic view. That is going to be one of the worst played football games you'll ever see. And yeah, I love Caleb Williams. I do not see this going well for the Bears. So we have this Packers Dolphins game to look forward to, and I don't know if it's going to be enjoyable.
I mean, you get a good Black Friday game, maybe. Although Chiefs Raiders, that's
Chiefs Raiders. Oh my God.
Okay, of the 3 Thanksgiving games, gave you there Lions Bears, Giants Cowboys, and Packers Dolphins. Which one do you think is going to be the best game?
The Puppy Bowl.
That's Super Bowl, Manny.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen until February.
Dolphins.
It's got to be Packers, Dolphins. That is interesting.
But do you think the Dolphins are going to no-show because it's going to be so cold?
I feel like the Packers play sloppy football, and that could make this more interesting than it probably should be. Because even in a game where, again, Tom Brady, he has his issues, but I thought one thing he kept mentioning in that game that I thought was good during that Niners game was despite the fact that they're winning, they're throwing a lot of near interceptions. Guys are dropping the ball. Like, they're not a button-up team at all. They have a lot of wins, but they're sloppy. So there's a chance that they keep the Dolphins in the game. And the Dolphins have enough playmakers where they can make it interesting. I know it's going to be cold, but something tells me that the Packers may not dominate the way we think.
I don't understand. Like, Tom Brady gave everybody the blueprint of what you're supposed to do in these cold weather games. He used to wear a scuba suit, right?
Yeah.
Dude's from California, then played in Michigan, so he got obviously exposed to the cold weather, and then he goes to New England. Why doesn't everyone wear the scuba suit? Why isn't Tua in a scuba suit?
I don't know.
Do we not know that he is?
I don't know. Maybe he was, but he should. He should be.
I've never worn a scuba suit. Do you have enough flexibility to play quarterback? I would imagine that would sort of restrict your arm movement.
Well, you got to find the right one, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I've never worn a scuba suit. I don't like open water.
You know why I kind of like the Dolphins is it's a desperation game. They're 5-6. Like they can't afford any losses, where the Packers feel like they're 8-3 and don't look like they have the urgency right now. And they got to avoid Christian Watson. Man, you're talking about sloppy play and near interceptions. He's a problematic target every time he goes down the field.
Big drop, but it didn't end up mattering because the Packers easily handled the 49ers. Rich is in California, has a thought on the Niners. We're wondering if we wrote them off a little bit too quickly considering the positivity around Purdy's shoulder. Hey, Rich, how are you?
I am well, and yourself. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thank you. Same to you.
The question that I have is, if the goal is to win a Super Bowl with the current crew that you've got, and considering the injuries and the age on that crew, at what point does making the playoffs become counterproductive?
Meaning you need to rebuild, so you're going to try and make it last too long if you make the playoffs? Is that what you mean, Rich?
If you go deep into the playoffs, do you risk injuring McCaffrey and a lot of these other guys for no particular reason?
No, come on. You can't think like that. I'm a big tank guy, and even I wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm just simply saying, just getting to the playoffs, if the goal is the Super Bowl, getting to the playoffs is fine, but if you can't hang with the Lions and the Packers and that ilk, what point is there?
I know. I guess, Rich, then that would be the case. Just shut it down right now. Shut Purdy down, shut Bosa down, shut McCaffrey down, shut them all down now and regroup for next year.
But why do you think they couldn't hang if they get healthy enough to make the playoffs and they're healthy enough to beat Detroit or Green Bay or Philadelphia? They basically have to get healthy to make the playoffs in the first place. Why wouldn't they be able to hang with Detroit?
Well, I don't know. What I saw this weekend didn't seem to think that they could hang with, Detroit Junior High School.
Yeah, Detroit Mercy.
The Detroit Lions.
No, I get that. But again, to Perloff's point, if you do get healthy and you make the playoffs, well, now you're healthy. Right? And thank you, Rich, for the call. So now you're healthy. Now it's a new ball game. I thought where your mind was.
Yeah.
You make another playoff run. That means you got to run it back with everybody.
Right, exactly. You actually started off the year saying, I wonder if this is it for the Niners. Is this the last year of their Super Bowl window? Now that's a very important question. I mean, I think they extended with a new quarterback next year. And I think we all know who that is. Just bring Aaron Rodgers to San Francisco. We need the content. Come on, baby.
Wait, whose window is Aaron Rodgers extending right now? Like, that's not a thing.
Wait till he comes back. He's going to be a different quarterback after 2 years after the Achilles. It always happens that way.
Okay.
By the way, the jumping off of the Purdy Express has been lightning fast.
I'll take Purdy on the team, too. I'd bring them both.
That doesn't work that way.
They had Jimmy G and Purdy at the same time and cobbled it together and got to the NFC title game.
Yeah, but one of those guys wasn't making $60 million.
Purdy's also much better than Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I'm thinking. Rodgers not going to be the backup.
Telling you right now, EJ, I saw it with Favre. There's a new Aaron Rodgers coming next year. Maybe in Minnesota, just like Favre.
Honestly, Perloff did nail this with the Rodgers-Favre stuff.
They're the same person. I don't even know if they're not physically the same person. It's some kind of sci-fi movie where Brett Favre has inhabited Aaron Rodgers.
Brett Favre.
If the Vikings didn't have J.J. McCarthy, this would have happened.
They still might do it.
It's funny, Perloff, when you first said that, you're like, you called this a year and a half ago. You're like, Rodgers going to do the same thing. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Rodgers going to stick around a lot longer in New York. Maybe not.
I know. I mean, it seemed like in the middle of last week, the narrative was he's done. Now maybe people have come back a little bit because he is playing this week.
Yeah, we'll get into Rodgers in a little bit. 855-212-4227, though, if you want to weigh in on the 49ers. Some positive updates on Purdy, but is it enough? And will it be enough to get them into the postseason? And that doesn't even sound like what the 49er fans want right now to be in the postseason, quite frankly. Okay, we'll get to that in just a moment.
All right, Maggie, this is the best time of year because we got football, we got basketball, we got esports. It's all heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while watching all these sports. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. So simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection. And you can win up to 100 times your money. What are you thinking tonight, Mag?
Okay, well, I love Prize Picks because I've never had the thought in my life before to pair Chris Paul more than 9.5 points with the wide receiver from Buffalo, the Bulls.
The college team. The college team, right?
J.J. Jenkins, more than 69.5 receiving yards. This would have never popped into my head, but with Prize Picks, I just did 2 clicks, and here I am ready to go. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code MNP. You can get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code M&P, MAND-P, on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P. You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Is this a Darius Rucker version of Wagon Wheel?
That's right.
I'll say it for Perloff.
Friend.
Darius Rucker, very good friends.
No, we're not very good friends. He is the greatest guy on earth. Makes me want to root for the Dolphins on Thursday night. But
the Dolphins made him cry.
Yeah, I know. What a real sports fan. That's a great song that has been covered by pretty much everybody now. Where were we?
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show.
Oh, you just said you had a heated debate with Manny in the break room.
It was in the bathroom.
Okay. I was trying to save you there.
Yeah. Did you like the Chargers uniforms last night? I said I watched it mainly because of the uniforms to start. It's SoFi Stadium, looks really good on TV. Then you get these dark blue uniforms with white helmets. Super cool. I thought it was a great TV product. Fun game. Lots of players to watch. Lots of stars.
Ravens win, by the way, if you're just waking up.
Manny was disappointed because there was no powder blue from the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, the navy blue, yellow look from the Chargers just doesn't scream Chargers to me. When I think of the Chargers, go Chargers, go. I think of the light blue, the powder blue with the yellow, with the little Danian Tomlinson look. You know what I'm talking about?
Who was Go Chargers? Was that an Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Go Chargers, go.
I remember that.
Oh, I don't remember that. What movie is that?
That's
When he was really the governor of California. Go Chargers.
He was a politician, by the way.
The fact that Manny even knows that.
I think it was after 2000. That's why I know it.
Manny, no clue who Ronald Reagan is. Arnold Schwarzenegger knows every public policy that he was behind.
That's not an actor. That's a politician to me.
It is not a tumor.
Yeah, well done.
I
think we found the one accent that Perloff can do.
Yeah, everybody could do Arnold Schwarzenegger. But does anyone else here have a problem with the Chargers dark blue? I think it's super cool. I think they are probably the best overall uniform team in the league. Powder blue is number one.
Are they the best uniform team in the league? I think the Seahawks have some pretty cool uniforms. I like the dark blue. What?
Everyone likes the old.
What do you guys just pile on me?
Everyone likes the 90s Seahawks, the Cortez Kennedy Seahawks.
Those are great.
Yeah,
those
are
great.
Those are the ones people want them to wear, not those navy blue ones with the neon green.
I like them all.
I do like those, but they're not as cool as the ugly 90s one. But that's not as iconic as the Chargers. The powder blue, come on.
That booger green that the Eagles wear, that's also a pretty good look on them.
No, it's Kelly Green.
Oh, excuse me. I thought it was booger green.
Kelly Green is super cool. Listen, I'm such a dork. I'd go color rush.
No.
Stop.
What is going on there? These uniform takes are driving me crazy.
No,
we all know that the best uniforms all happened between 1985 and 1994.
That's before
all
history.
NFL teams should just go back to those color schemes and those logos and we'd be straight. That's
I was going to call it BM before Manny, but I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I actually think when they started to bring them back this year, the Denver Broncos ones are so sick.
They're all great.
Oh, the Broncos
the
are
Crush
gorgeous.
Ones. Oof, those are cool.
I like the Broncos new ones too. The best one ever is Jaguars half a helmet, one color, half helmet the other. The Harvey Dent Jaguars, or the Jaguars brown pants.
No.
The worst one, and I might as well keep on the Giants season opening century uniforms were the ugliest uniforms I've ever seen in my entire life.
They were, but I have a thought about those. Those were meant to be enjoyed on a black and white TV. That's how old they are, because it's the same with the Packers, like when they go back to the Acme ones and the colors are just all weird. It's like yellow and brown.
Steelers Bumblebee ones, which are actually black and white. I miss those. Yeah, nobody's into color rush. I mean, who cares?
That was the worst era of NFL uniforms.
I went to a color rush game when I was in Buffalo. Yeah, it was the Giants against it was the Jets against the Bills, and apparently the colorblind people couldn't see a dang thing.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Are you guys, if you had to vote between the Oregon crazy change your uniform every week or old school Penn State classic, are you more classic uniform or the bright neon?
In college, give me all the alternates. In the NFL, give me the classics.
College, I like simple. I like Penn State.
I don't mind alternates anytime. Like I was watching the Lions play this weekend against the Colts. Or no, I'm sorry, it was the Colts with the dark black helmets with the blue horseshoe on it. I was like, that's cool. I didn't even think about that.
Hated that one.
Really?
Oh,
it just didn't seem like appropriate for a day game. It felt like more of a night game, but they're in a dome anyway, so it
and
doesn't
it's called
matter.
Indiana Knights too.
Yeah,
that's the name of the uniform. They're playing it at 1 p.m.
I never mind a black alternate. I like those alternate uniforms.
Anthony Richardson looks so cool in any uniform. Like he made that pop. I totally agree with you.
I thought it was inspired.
It was weird though that they all had. I know the C was for Colts, but they all had a C on their jersey. which meant for a while I was like, wait a minute, is that guy a captain? I didn't think he was a captain. Wait, that guy's a captain too. And then I saw I don't know, Queedy Pay. I was like, oh, that guy definitely is a captain because he has the actual captain thing on. So you had guys with 2 C's on their jerseys. I feel like they really didn't think that through.
Wait, what happens on Thanksgiving? I think people wear alternate uniforms often, right? We're going to see some weird
throwbacks.
Weird stuff.
Lions usually wear their non
Barry Sanders throwback.
Yeah, it's no helmet decal, plain jerseys.
Actually,
great look.
Maggie, you got me a little excited. So you think the Bears might hang in there? Because I need a good game on Thanksgiving. I need this. I need something in my life here.
I thought 10.5 seemed a little bit high, but to be fair, we should have just been betting the Lions spread this whole time. They've just been absolutely destroying teams. It hasn't even been close.
Bears played the Lions really well last year. They should have beat them in Detroit, and it wasn't for some Matt Eberflus nonsense. And they crushed them in Chicago.
I'll never see it coming. Look at some of these scores, though. They beat Seattle 42-29, Dallas 47-9, Minnesota, well, that was a close one. Tennessee 52-14, Green Bay by 10. Houston,
but that's a lot of
52-6 against the Jags.
That's a lot of weird quarterback situations that they've faced. I mean, honestly, they obviously should have lost that game. The Texans when Goff threw 5 picks. The Texans gifted them that game. So you never know. That was, by the way, the name of my band in college. Some weird Matt Eberflus plays. What did you say?
Matt Eberflus nonsense.
Matt Eberflus nonsense. That's a Swedish punk band.
Yeah, sounds like a garage band. Started UVM.
Your disdain for Matt Eberflus right there is awesome.
Because the Bears could be okay, and this guy is still the head coach. That's why. How
about Troy Aikman last night caping for Todd Monken? Should be high on everyone's list to get a head coaching job, the Ravens offensive coordinator.
More yards per play than any team in NFL history. They're killing it. More yards per play than any team in NFL history. Monken makes sense. Yeah, we were just looking at before the show. He was head coach at Southern Miss before he went to Georgia. I know you're nervous. You don't love the offensive guru as the head coach always.
Well, I get why the Bears would do it. You're probably not going to bring another defensive head coach. I get the flip-flop there.
Would you go Ben Johnson, like the young guy, though?
Yeah, but, I'm sick of waiting around for this guy. Either you want to date us or you don't, He's going to be super picky. I don't know if he's going to want to go to the Bears. I can't wait around. I want someone who also wants me, Can't just be this unrequited love all the time with Ben Johnson. Who are you? I'm just kidding. He's very talented. He's talented. Is he head coaching material, though? I have no idea.
Good-looking dude. I could see this.
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup, and it's our job.
You just described everything that was wrong with me dating from 2005. No, the opposite. It's I don't care if you want me. I'll be the 15th pick.
Well, I mean, most of us are
just happy to be mentioned. Just happy to be in the conversation.
Thanks for nominating me.
But doesn't everybody always want the person who doesn't like them? You want the unattainable. That's why Ben Johnson is right now such a hot item because he keeps saying no.
He cracked the code. He realized, you know what? I can't be too available.
He's playing the game.
He's flirting with her friend.
Yeah, just like the girl in my high school core. It was nah, I'm not feeling this.
And you're like, I never see it coming. I want you double now.
Yeah, exactly. It worked.
I mean, the best way to get a team to like you is pretend you don't like the team. He's going to go into those interviews you guys are okay.
It's I'm sorry, where are the Bears located? Oh, Chicago.
Yeah, the owner's going to be fall head over heels. Wow, he doesn't want to be here. He must be really good.
We laugh track, but it's true. Bogish has headlines for us. What's up?
These ones are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone. That's not the right one. Stand by.
Don't protect any of that
It's
stuff.
My Monday. Headlines are sponsored.
How was that Goose Show?
By PXG
How was the Madison
Golf.
Square Garden the other night?
Staying long and straight on the golf course is easier than ever with PXG clubs. Take your game to a whole new level and save $10 per club at pxg.com/football and use code football. The
Mom,
Ravens,
Dad, back to you.
Aggressive last night in L.A. John Harbaugh's offense went for it on 4th down 3 times, converted all 3. Derrick Henry on the confidence from their head coach.
Believing that we're going to get the job done, and we believe that we will as well. So, we just was confident that we'll end up converting on those 4th downs, and did a great job blocking, and all we had to do was make a play, and we did.
The first for 4th down was the gutsiest, 4th and 1 from their own 16. Baltimore let the 2-minute warning hit. We assumed they were going to punt, but they came back from the timeout, with a direct snap to tight end Mark Andrews to extend the drive, and then did this 5 plays later.
Zay Flowers goes in motion. Lamar takes the snap. Deep drop. Steps up. Going deep. At the 5. At the goal line. Bateman is there. He makes the catch. Touchdown. Rashad Bateman. Oh, what a play.
And that's Ravens radio. Bateman making the catch in the end zone through pass interference while falling down. His team eventually won the game 30-23 after spotting LA the first 10 points of the night. They ran for 212 yards with 140 coming from Henry. Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins did not play after halftime after hurting his left knee. Let me get this out of the way right now. The Knicks looked decent last night.
Crossing corner, Anunoby puts it up, puts it in! A career high 38 for OG Anunoby. A brilliant shooting performance here in Denver.
That's Mike Breen on MSG. Anunoby finishing with 40. Jalen Brunson had 23 plus 17 assists, and Karl Anthony Towns had 30 points and 15 boards, all on a 145-118 rout of the Nuggets in Denver. Nuggets head coach Michael Malone was asked if this is a game you can just flush away.
Oh, that, man. No, we're not flushing. You don't flush when you get embarrassed. You don't flush when you gave up 145 points. You don't flush when you didn't play hard, didn't play with effort, didn't play with physicality. I'm not flushing anything.
So there's that.
I hope that's not his policy in life.
We broke him. Yay!
Well, did you break them or did they break themselves? Because here's Jamal Murray's theory on why they were not good last night.
We just beat LA in LA. Got some guys that are live in LA, so stayed in LA. And like I said, I don't think the focus was there from everybody.
So dudes stayed in LA Saturday night, had some fun, played a bad NBA game Monday. That's much like me being out too late Saturday and Sunday and reading the wrong liner 5 minutes ago. It's almost the same thing.
Bogish pulled a Nuggets is what you're telling us?
Flush it away, Bogish. Flush it away.
Nuggets pulled a Bogish.
No flushing,
Let's flip
Bogish.
it.
No flushing, Bogish. By the way, does Mike Malone realize that quote could easily be taken out of context for the rest of his life?
I hope
there will
so.
be no flushing here.
I hope he was having some fun with that, but knowing him, he's super serious.
Yeah.
Well, we just had the Syracuse football coach unless he doesn't shower if they
Fran
lose.
Brown.
So here's Mike Malone just leaving dirty toilets
He
everywhere.
said he didn't earn a shower.
And Rizzy is over there clogging toilets at the Superdome.
Oh, yeah. What's up with coaches these days?
We have big water shortage, too. We got a note from our school district, dude. We got to save water right now. So
Still,
maybe
it rained for 36 hours in the New York City area.
Maybe it was last week.
It was. They sent out one to us, too. It was if it's yellow, let it mellow type of thing.
Did they say that?
Uh-huh. Well,
wow.
not really, but yeah.
Or
It's implied.
They implied it.
Oh.
If it's
Did the
yellow,
mayor yell,
let it
"No
mellow"?
You've
flushing
never
here?
heard this before?
No.
You never heard that, Bogish?
Nope.
Well, do you know the second part of it?
No. If I don't know the
I
first,
do.
how do I know the second?
If it's
him.
brown,
I'm not
flush it
saying
down.
that word.
If it's brown, flush it down.
Yeah.
You've never heard that?
Nope, never heard that. But along those same lines, I call BS on those toilets that have like the two different flush buttons.
Go ahead.
Like one for one, one for two.
Yeah,
I don't
go
think there's
ahead.
any difference.
Why?
And I just don't believe it. I've used both buttons. I don't see what we're not saving water.
One
we're not
has
saving-
more water. It says 1.9 gallons.
I
and
disagree.
The other says 3.8.
Why would they lie about that?
I don't know. I think it's a scam.
By who? Big toilet?
Big water.
Perpetuated?
Kohler.
Big porcelain.
Big potty. Sorry. I have a 5-year-old in our house. It's still the potty.
You have me and Perloff and Manny and EJ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've
I
got
know.
many 5-year-olds. in your life.
One elementary school to the next. One pre-K to the
It's
next.
like a daycare. Mom, Dad, back to you. Basically.
Wow, I am now really thinking about this. Is this whole multiple flush thing just a myth? You've used both, so
I just
you've
don't get
had
the
you've had
motivation.
situations where you've risked. You're like, I'm going to try the low usage thing just to see if it all works.
More that when I hit the low one, I don't think it's that low.
I'm not sure, Maggie. You experience? Do you guys have?
No, I
them?
understand
Yeah,
this. That
yeah.
Do I experience? Yes,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you're-
familiar with this type of
women's
toilet.
bathrooms also have two.
Yeah, we even have our own bathrooms, guys.
Women's bathrooms have toilets?
No, we just go in there and hang out.
They don't go to the
count
bathroom,
to
they're
100
ladies.
and walk out. There's no actual toilets in there. Everyone knows we don't actually go to the bathroom. It's a myth.
What's that line at everything at the movie and plays for then? That's the one thing about women's
Well, I have to
bathrooms.
check our makeup.
The line is crazy.
I know. This is why as a woman going to a sporting event is the ultimate amazing thing. I'm waltzing in, waltzing out. Everything's just it's green lights
That's
everywhere.
That's how I feel when I go to a Broadway show.
Exactly.
Or
a club or a restaurant or anywhere where men go to the bathroom in 30 seconds and it takes women 5 minutes. Yeah. You don't understand. We've got complicated things going on.
Oh, we get it. I don't think you understand. We have complicated things going on.
I don't know. You guys are out in and out lickety split. I don't think it's that complicated.
I just remember as a kid going to Veterans Stadium, first of all, it wasn't anything that was in the bathroom was game to use as a bathroom. So basically sinks, trash cans, like it was just chaos in that bathroom.
People.
Yeah, I mean the vet bathroom was insane. I can't imagine what the women's room was like.
Sparkly clean.
Yeah.
Even after 6 Bud Lights?
Usually,
at that point.
usually a couple.
Who's counting?
There's at least one couple in a stall at halftime of an Eagles game. That always happens.
That's what the ladies' room was for.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I don't understand. I will never understand the people who get it on a sporting event. To me, it's the least romantic place on planet Earth.
What I don't know. Punts inside the 5. Yeah, that's a good time to start.
John Harbaugh going for it on 4th and 1 at his own 16. All of a sudden, I was like, wow, that just went from 6 to midnight. I got to find a bathroom. Come on, a sporting event? It's so gross there.
But you're hammered. That's the point.
Feel the pipe?
I don't know. Same thing happens in New York City on the subway. Sometimes you'll see these videos of people getting on the subway. I'm like, oh,
that was
worst.
That was planned. Most of them are planned. Like, we're gonna go do this.
Guy's got a set on him.
I don't think you're just getting in the mood in the middle of
Freakniks.
Monday Night Football.
Go home.
Curve to the left. Wow.
Manny, how many of these do you have?
There's also a lot of illegal drug intake at Eagles games too. It used to be that way. I don't know if it's like that anymore.
No, it's definitely not. They've cleaned things up.
Yeah, no. Honestly, you should see how nice the Link is. Is a scary place. It is heaven compared to the old stadium.
Well, think about the new Clippers arena.
He makes the vet sound like Normandy.
You ever read
it was Alcatraz
you should
during
get a
raid.
medal for getting through there.
But you know the Steve Ballmer is like the Potty Palace.
Yes,
the new place.
No, I want to go check that out.
Just for the bathroom, not for the basketball.
Oh, you think I want to see more James Harden in my life?
You're definitely not seeing Kawhi.
Yeah, good point.
Go Chargers, go.
All right, that's it. We left no time. Up next. Oh, gosh, we have a lot to do here, including should one contender be very concerned? We'll get to them next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Pine Needles wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to infinity, sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, every take you can't refuse. In the chat, he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to infinity, sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. When the games get tough and the stakes are high, Pine Needles knows where to rely on the voices that break it down. Maggie and Perloff never let him down. He's got a playlist all saved up, from epic wins to the close-up, loyal viewer through and through. Pine Needles, this song's for you. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to infinity, sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. So here's to the fan, always engaged with every comment, every page. Pine Needles, you're the heart and soul of the Maggie and comments. Pine Needles wakes, living life in 20-second views, scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daily's keeping score. YouTube's his love. He's begging for more. Double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie snappy, Perloff's got a glow. Daily's hooked, he's looking for the show. Chasing trends, Daily's on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daily's voice. Steady to breathe. Steady to preach. Reach it to preach. Oh, Maggie Gray on the radio waves, talking sports and scores and the games we crave. But when she's done with touchdowns and three-point shots, she dives into conspiracies and connects the dots. Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? JFK wasn't just a simple case. I got the scoop right here on my plate. She's got a playbook full of suspects, from mob bosses to alien insects. Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make history sound like a daytime series. From grassy knolls to the CIA, what will you dream of today? Oh, Maggie Gray, with your wild theories, you make his state plot. Maybe it's
45 seconds remaining.
We all forgot. She breaks it down like a post-game review. And
30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Starting back under center. Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. A little surprised, Pearl, that Rodgers going to be starting out of the bye. Jeff Ulbrich, the new interim head coach of the Jets, said he's back in the fold.
Wait, did he go away?
No, he didn't go away, but we had a lot of reporting in the bye week, right? So a couple different things happening with Rodgers over their bye. One, there was reported that there's a growing divide between the owner and everyone else. So Rodgers, the general manager who brought him in, the head coach who was coaching him, everyone's gone. And so there was a question about whether Rodgers is just kind of the next out the door. Then there was another report that Rodgers and owner Woody Johnson actually have a great relationship. Everything's fine. They were out to dinner. Everything's good. Then there's another report, this one from Ian Rappaport, that Rodgers is clearly compromised with his knee and ankle. You can tell he's not 100% healthy.
Yep.
But he's refusing to get scans on any of those potential injuries because he doesn't want to get put on IR, because he doesn't want the team to take him out. Which is odd. I didn't know you could actually refuse that kind of thing.
Yeah. So is this something that you would criticize Aaron Rodgers for or praise him for because he's a tough guy and wants to be out there?
That part of it, I don't feel any type of way.
Yeah.
I'm not actually thinking about Rodgers right now. I'm thinking about the organization. I think it makes sense to sit him for both reasons, whether you keep him or whether he's going to be gone. If you plan on keeping him next year, well, he's clearly not healthy. So sit him and let him rest and actually get healthy. Don't have him further potentially injure himself on a 40-year-old who's coming off an Achilles tear. And then if I'm going to move on from him, well, your team stinks. It's time to start the tank. You need to get as high as possible for a quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers and get off this, and try to get another bite at the apple here. So to me, whether you love Rodgers, hate him, whether you think he's being awesome, whether you think he's being selfish, whatever it is, that means nothing to me. He should not be playing is my point.
But I mean, are they a realistic tank team? Like, I think that's going to be hard. If the backup's Tyrod Taylor? I mean, with Rodgers or Tyrod Taylor, it's going to be hard to beat these really bad, be worse than these bad teams. First of all, they're 3-8. They should probably be about 5-5. They have a lot of talent, especially compared. You look at some of the teams around them, like the Giants and the Raiders, and maybe the Jags, Titans. Like, this Jets team has a lot of good players, so it's going to be really hard to really tank. I think you might as well get the W's and have some positive culture.
Yeah, but see, again, does that then lull you into, I know EJ, big Jets fan over there, doesn't want Rodgers back, right? So you get a couple wins here. I don't think you're going to beat Seattle. Say you split with Miami, maybe you win in Jacksonville. I don't know.
Why would you not beat Seattle? I mean, that in New York, I mean, that feels like a toss-up of a game.
First place in their division. I don't know. I'd rather have Geno right now than Aaron Rodgers, and Geno threw a terrible pick in the end zone.
I feel like that game's going to come down on the last drive, and Rodgers will probably lose it there for the Jets, but it does feel like that should at least be close.
Yeah, maybe it'll be close, but I just, again, if you're going to, like, why build any positive momentum if you're going to get rid of him anyway? Because
but your backup's going to win your games too. Like, Tyrod Taylor is built to win games like this.
You got to do what the Giants did and go third string.
Who's their third string?
Who knows? Who cares? Oh, it's wasn't it the kid from Florida State?
Jordan Travis. I don't know if he got cleared yet.
He might still be not healthy.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, no, the Jets don't need to tank. I understand what you're saying, but I just generally don't think that it's going to happen here. They need, again, we keep coming back. There's only going to be one or two quarterbacks in the top five, likely.
So who's going to play quarterback for the Jets next year then?
I do not discount Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there's a big, mobile, strong quarterback who's having a great year who will be a free agent next year. Sam Darnold.
Oh, God.
Just joking. Jets fan. That's a joke.
EJ, can I interest you in one Tommy DeVito?
No, absolutely not.
I tried.
How about
you just want to unload him.
They're going to give me Daniel Jones.
He's a local kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah, good story.
Yeah, it's a great story for the New York Jets.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, clear out some space for Michael Penix to start in Atlanta.
To be honest, Kirk Cousins already turned the Jets down once.
It has to be a young guy.
Derek Carr.
Tommy DeVito.
Remember Derek Carr? They could have had Derek Carr. They held out for Rodgers.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they can't go back to the well on these guys. What when you say young guy, you mean rookie, EJ?
It's got either be a rookie or you're taking a flyer on a young guy or another team.
Like Trey Lance? I mean, that's not going to happen.
No, not Trey Lance, but Bryce Young, someone like that. It cannot be an old retread guy. It can't.
Oh, my God.
Well, see, this is where the Jets are damned if they do, damned if they don't, because they have a terrible track record of drafting quarterbacks. And they haven't been able to make it work with any of the older guys they've brought in either.
I would say, is it the chicken or the egg, though? Is it that they draft the quarterback and they don't put good things around him? They don't coach him well. They don't develop him. Sam Darnold might have been okay. I just think it's tough when you go to the Jets and like they've been bad for so long. Is it really? Are they that bad at picking quarterbacks?
Yeah,
they picked Chad Pennington, EJ's favorite player of all time.
Listen,
made that pick.
And Mark Sanchez,
he was okay, right?
He wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
He wasn't that bad, but when all of a sudden they had to pay him a little bit more and he wasn't on the rookie deal, and then you had to make some decisions, all of a sudden Mark Sanchez couldn't elevate you in the way that you had hoped, because they literally called it the ground and pound. He was handing the ball off and their defense was number one with a bullet under Rex Ryan. I think the other Sam Darnold was not good and the team was terrible. Zach Wilson was a huge mistake.
They have a lot of pieces for next year. That's the problem. One of the problems is they have a lot of talent. They need the right guy to unlock
it.
It
That's what we said about this year.
Right.
They've got a future Hall of Famer and he couldn't do it.
Right. He was hurt. So that I don't think that they can't go pure developmental next year, like Bryce Young, for example. I think they need to try and bring in a Cousins.
Oh, I totally disagree. I think this idea that we're trying to save anything that's here, that's what got us here. Like, this team is not that good. The team was overrated when we got Aaron Rodgers. They're terrible now. Like, they have guys who are all flawed. Breece Hall, flawed. Garrett Wilson, real talented, but flawed.
What's Garrett Wilson's flaw?
He disappears for long stretches of games. He's a little small. Like, it's,
coaching.
Yeah, and he also not the best body language. Like, they don't. Sauce Gardner, flawed. Like, we overrated a lot of these guys who are young and stars. You say, oh, give them a superstar, they'll be great. The quarterback. It's not that easy.
Abe is in the chat, youtube.com/infinitysportsnet, has a thought for you. Jetson Dart. He went Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. Maybe not coming off of this game. All right, lots more to do. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Replacement from an old Studebaker ride. Oh, EJ with his injured knee still crushing Schwartz so easily. Pickleball champ, he's on a spree while Belotti's home as usual absentee. Schwartz is swinging but he's out of tune. Studebaker hip creaks like an old cartoon. EJ's finesse got him looking stuck. He's still missing, so what the duck? Oh, EJ with his injured knee still crushing Schwartz so easily.
Donatello 994, he's always on the stream watching Maggie and Perloff live in the dream. But when the AI songs start to play, Dom's hitting that mute button, no delay. Dom says AI songs are trash, they're just no good, not funny at all. Like a robot would, he's got the remote in his hand, ready to bail. AI says a humor, epic fail. He's there for the sports, the hot takes, the vibe. But AI songs, nah, not his stride. Dom wants the real stuff.
45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Hill, the running back. Jackson in the gun. The 49-yard line of Baltimore. 3rd and 2. Shotgun snap. Handoff. Hill runs laterally. Stiff arms. Breaks a tackle. 50. Got a block. 40 on the numbers. 30. Far side. Foot race. 20. Far sideline. 15. 10. 5. Touchdown. Or did he step out of bounds? Let's see where they're marking. No, it is a touchdown. Walking the tightrope down the far side.
Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. Exciting game last night. Ravens win 30-23. There you go. You got your Harbaugh Bowl. Once again, older brother John beats younger brother Jim. Knew that was going to happen. But Perloff, I think the bigger question, as I say good morning, is whether you believe the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. Because right now, to me, it looks like it's the Ravens and the Lions. Those would be the two teams, outside of the Lifetime Achievement Award that the Chiefs get. No matter how bad they look, they're always going to be dangerous in the playoffs. But if you're asking me who's playing the best, I think I would have to say the Ravens' ceiling feels like it's the highest, and the Lions' ceiling feels like it's the highest.
Yeah, I feel like the two teams are in different conversations, though, because the Ravens are, first of all, they're in the AFC, which is much harder. Second of all, they have this tragic flaw that their defense is not great. And even last night, you saw their defense, they don't cover well. They have so many pass interference penalties. You can get them long. So they're going to have to win in shootouts. Who knows? Playoff time, it might be different. But, yeah, they just don't scare me at all on defense. And usually when you think of a Super Bowl champion, the defense has to step up. And Baltimore, we haven't seen that. Detroit, funny, since Aiden Hutchinson went down, their defenses looked amazing.
Yeah.
Now, they played some bad teams, or at least disappointing teams. Like Houston's not a bad team, but they shut them down. So I think Detroit feels more complete. The Ravens feel like they're in a conversation, but they aren't the conversation.
Okay, but here's how you see that the Ravens are compensating for maybe a lack of confidence in their defense, which is John Harbaugh in his own territory before the 2-minute warning in the first half, going for a 4th and 1 at his own 16. I mean, listen, I know John Harbaugh's been around for a long time. He's won a Super Bowl, but he's not totally immune to criticism. That play would have been wildly criticized, and it was a direct snap to Mark Andrews. And by the way, it barely got there. And so they're really playing understanding who their defense is. And Roquan Smith was out last night, and he's one of their best defensive players, if not the best. And they were adjusting. Like that, they didn't do nothing. They realized, hey, we're playing against a good quarterback. I'm playing against my brother. I understand that he might want to be aggressive. And they made the adjustment and it ended up working for him. Like, I think it's the good coaching combination. And obviously Lamar, and Derrick Henry bring this thing to a totally new level.
Yeah, I think if the Chargers had any receivers, they would have scored 40 points last night. They just don't. They have, not only do they not have receivers, they have receivers that kill you. And secondly, I think that John Harbaugh knew that his line was blowing the Chargers' defensive line away.
They were.
So I think they had so much confidence. That's not happening against Pittsburgh. He's not going for that 4th and 1. So you say that's a strategy. I think that was a game-specific strategy. Was there was a single play where Derrick Henry had the ball where I thought he didn't have a chance to break it. Now, they did have a couple negative runs on him, but generally they overwhelmed the Chargers. It was like big boy football versus little kid football.
No doubt. Ravens won the line of scrimmage. Not even close. I'll give you that. So here's John Harbaugh on the decision to keep going for it on 4th down, where they were very successful last night.
You just got to try to hang on to possessions as long as you can because they're so good. And if you have a chance to convert because it's 6 inches as opposed to something that could be tougher, you could be in a 3rd and 10 the next time out, and you don't get a real chance to do it. And their offense is so challenging and so good. That's really the main reason. We just felt we were going to need it.
And they went for it. And to be fair, they kept being aggressive. And it worked for them last night. And, why this team is so different, this Ravens team is different, is the Derrick Henry factor. So he's mentioned it, 140 yards on 24 carries. And you know what's weird is I think they do this thing where they kind of load manage him in the game. Do you notice that a little bit?
Yeah. I think I know what you mean.
Closer games, all of a sudden it feels like Henry is not carrying the ball as much on the first drive of the second quarter. like middle of the third quarter, and then they sort of save him a little bit. And you have Justice Hill, who we played the highlight for you with the 51-yard touchdown. So you got this combination of the bowling ball of Henry and then the speed of Hill.
It totally works. And you didn't even really need Lamar. Only threw for 177 yards last night. He didn't need to do much. I think this game was decided really in April 2023, and I'll tell you why. The Chargers took Quentin Johnson at 21, and the Ravens right after them picked Zay Flowers, and then the Vikings right after that picked Jordan Addison. I mean, that is night and day. You saw Zay Flowers had a huge play last night. He's 5 times a receiver. And actually, people ripped the Chargers at the time. They're like, Quentin Johnson can't run a route. What are you doing? And he's had a decent year, but last night he just killed Justin Herbert. 5 targets, 0 catches, 3 drops. I think a 4th drop as well. So you see, they just don't have the talent on the edges to compete with Baltimore. You can't keep up when you don't have receivers.
Yeah, but this was also a conscious decision that they made, which was to take Joe Alt with their first pick, and I don't think it was still the right decision. You're never going to regret, I don't think, taking an offensive lineman, but they could have shored up that offense with a first-round pick, and they decided to go offensive line. And again, I'm not second-guessing that.
Well, I just think what we're seeing is that Jim Harbaugh is trying to unbury or trying to dig out of the hole that Tom Telesco put them in, personnel-wise. I think they're going to get much bigger up front. I think that last night that those 4th down plays are like, that's not happening to a Jim Harbaugh team next year. They were just physically outmanned. I think it's basically he has one receiver right now, Lad McConkey. He's got to get a new receiver. And J.K. Dobbins, a great story. He can't stay healthy. So they have some work to do. And we said that coming into the year. We're like, Harbaugh's taking over a flawed team. I personally got a little over my skis with them because they were, really looking great against bad teams. And Herbert is playing well. But I think give it a year or two and let Harbaugh define this team. It's going to be something really good.
It'd be curious to see how the game would have changed if Dobbins could have stayed healthy, because Gus Edwards is just not the same. And
no.
Dobbins left at halftime with an injury, and so we'll see what happens with him. Now, the other part of this, you mentioned Quentin Johnston out of TCU. And TCU, that was the great story, and they ended up beating Michigan, Harbaugh's Michigan team, and then getting smoked in the national championship game. But he had a 3rd and 6, and it was the perfect play design. I mean, Greg Roman takes a lot of heat as the offensive coordinator, but that was perfect. He can't lay out any better. A 3rd and 6, they get Johnston wide open. He's got all this green grass in front of him, and he just dropped the ball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, still humans playing the game, but that was a bummer because at that point, basically the Chargers go 3 and out on that drive, and on the very next drive, it's that Justice Hill touchdown that we played. So, and at that point, you're down 2 scores, about 7 minutes left to go. It would have been tough to come all the way back.
That's the thing about playing the Ravens. You cannot screw up at all on offense because you're not going to be able to keep up. And if you let the Ravens get a lead with Derrick Henry, forget it. I mean, the Chargers, they should have came away from the first quarter with 14 points. They really had a chance. Like, you got to get way ahead of them to take the Derrick Henry option out. And I think, that being said, like we talked about, you started off by saying, are the Ravens the team to beat? I don't think you could run like that on Kansas City. I don't think you can necessarily run like that on Buffalo. I know you said they already did. They already did.
They ran all over Buffalo.
I think Buffalo can make adjustments, and I think the Steelers, if the Ravens happen to face the Steelers in the playoffs, you're not going to run like that. You're not going 3 for 3 on 4th down like that because it's going to be way more challenging. Just much, much tougher teams up front. You think about the Chiefs are going to send those linebackers like missiles at Derrick Henry's legs. It's going to be a totally different game.
Okay, but here's the thing about the Chiefs. They play everybody close, including the Panthers. So it's not going to be, you're never going to take Derrick Henry out of the game because you're always going to be in a close game with the Chiefs.
But would you trust Steve Spagnuolo? And he took Lamar Jackson out of the game. He took his running out of the game in the playoff game. They scored 10 points last year when they were a great offense. I just think there's some big challenges ahead from Baltimore. It's not going to be as easy as last night.
855-212-4227. 30-23. Thank you, Patrick Mahomes. 30-23, that's the final score. Derrick Henry is one of the big heroes. Now, you mentioned it, Pearl, that you are not envious of the people who have to put their MVP ballot in.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think that Henry and Lamar are going to end up canceling each other out.
Makes sense.
And so it's going to come down to, I think right now, Josh Allen versus Saquon Barkley.
Right, but there's a lot of season left. We're only through 11 games. That's a huge deal. I mean, that's 38% of the season.
Yeah, but who do you think's coming out of the woodwork here?
Well, if Josh Allen ends up with a season at 15-2, is my math right? Yeah, 15-2, and the Eagles lose 3 games. That's a big deal. I'm saying it's that close. Like the final record makes a difference. And what if the Ravens run out? Say the Bills go on a little losing streak. Possible.
They have
could
to play
lose
the
San Francisco.
49ers. They got to play the Lions, excuse me.
You could knock him out. And if the Eagles start load managing Saquon, which makes a lot of sense too. Like they're giving him a lot of carries. I would not count out the Baltimore guys. You know, Lamar's been perfect. There's just nothing. What can you say that is negative about him this year?
Well, here's the thing about the Ravens in general. The amount of penalties that they get called for should be like a way bigger deal.
Yeah,
we don't talk about it nearly enough. It's on the offensive side, too. The illegal formations, the stuff on the offensive line. Listen, it's not all Lamar's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the one thing about the Ravens. I think their biggest competition is themselves because sometimes it gets silly at certain times. Another 9 penalties last night for over 100 yards. You got Joe and Troy are making fun of it on the broadcast about how many flags are happening every Monday night football game, but especially with the Ravens.
But their defense being terrible makes Lamar all the more special because he's getting even more stats because he's got to be at a shootout. So he's going to have Lamar has 2 MVPs. I would say his season is 20% better than any season he's ever had. So what do you do with that? I mean, his numbers are through the roof right now because his passing numbers have never been anywhere close to this. He's way ahead of any pace he's ever been on.
So a couple things from last night. Troy Aikman talking about how Todd Monken should be at the top of everyone's list in terms of coaches. So that's kind of interesting because I don't think his name was really being floated around with the Vrabels and the Belichicks and the Ben Johnsons and guys like that. So we'll see if the Ravens offensive coordinator, former Georgia offensive coordinator, does start to get some looks.
58. It's kind of old for a first-time head coach.
Yeah, but Belichick's 73. I know it's Belichick.
Yeah, I'm just saying first time. I mean, there's been a couple guys that have come in there like at 60 as their first coaching job. That's not.
I kind of like that actually. It's not the first time he's a head coach. He's been a head coach in college.
Right, but I think that the NFL owners are going to be like, "Give me Sean McVay." That's sort of it's a copycat league. Remember, if you knew Sean McVay, you got a job. Yeah. I'm not sure it's any different.
Perloff said he was watching the Manning cast yesterday.
Yeah.
And Luke and Owen Wilson were on.
Yeah, but 2 of my favorites. Big fan.
How'd it go?
It was okay. The game got really intense during their time there. And so Eli was asking about like movies and the Ravens were storming down the field and obviously Luke and Owen started watching the game. I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
Vrabel was really funny, apparently. I saw a bunch of Vrabel quotes. He came in the fourth quarter, and the game was a little more relaxed then, so he had some fun.
I just find it hard when you got 4 people all on a Zoom. Like that, I don't want to watch that.
I also have zero interest in hearing a celebrity talking during a football game. Sorry, I'm watching
Unless
the
it's
game.
a blowout, maybe.
The only time it's fun is if it's a comedian. Like Kevin Hart has come on and he's just destroyed Eli Manning because he's an Eagles fan and Eli obviously with the Giants. Or if you're really entertaining somebody, but just watching a game with a celebrity,
Yeah, and Kevin Hart was okay. I don't know. I just feel like I'm coming here for a football game, whether it's the Manning cast or the regular cast. Like, give me just football people. If you want to give me other athletes, maybe I can do that. Like, you want to give me a LeBron, you want to give me a baseball player, I can do that. Clayton Kershaw. I don't know. It just doesn't jive with me to hear. I don't like the Wilson brothers. They're great. They're in a lot of stuff I love. Zero interest in watching them talk about football or whatever they're doing during an NFL game.
They did a bit about what if Owen Wilson was the third Manning brother, Jasper Manning. It was kind of funny. He could have been, they're doing a movie. Remember Eli played Chad Powers?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So they're doing a movie where Glenn Powell, who's like the hottest star in the world, is going to play Chad Powers, journeyman quarterback that Eli Manning invented. So
really?
Yeah. Oh, have you guys not seen the preview?
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
it's real.
They're showing the trailer.
Wait, is he going to wear the makeup that Eli? So
yeah,
this was an ad campaign or something, right? Where
I don't know if it was an ad. I think he just was doing it just for fun.
I think it was one of Eli's places, if I'm not mistaken, for ESPN Plus. Yeah.
Eli has a show called Eli's Places.
A spinoff from Peyton's Places.
Peyton's Places, which was that's a play on words of a famous TV show that was on way before we were all born.
Oh, here's the plot. A disgraced college quarterback named Russ Holiday disguises himself as Chad Powers and walks onto a struggling Southern football team to revive his football career.
Russ, always getting into something that Russ.
Russ Holiday.
And Glenn
What
Powell
a clearly
is-
obvious fake name.
Yeah, they must have done this whole thing before Glenn Powell completely blew up. He just feels well below him.
Well, so the thing about what Eli did is he put on some makeup, and a lot of it, and went to Penn State and pretended to be a walk-on who was going to try out for the team.
Ah, okay.
No.
And obviously he's slinging the ball over, and everyone's like, what's going on? Who's this guy, Chad Powers?
No.
Okay, so
Now
they
they made a
took
spin.
that and ran with it. That's funny. I'm all in. I'll watch this movie in 2
Well,
seconds.
Glenn Powell apparently wrote this movie, so he's invested.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's written by him and Michael Waldron. Who you remember? Michael Waldron did Loki and Doctor Strange.
No way.
Yeah, he's also
There
worked
you
on
go.
Rick and
That's a
Morty.
good resume.
Heels. Like, yeah, I mean, there's some legit people connected to this.
And this is going to be a theatrical release?
This is going to be a comedy series on Hulu.
Oh, okay. That's not a movie.
No, but it's still
Oh, I thought it was
legit.
a movie. It's a series?
It's a series, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
But still, you have Glenn Powell. He's probably the number one actor in Hollywood right now.
Can I say something about all the series that are on all these streaming services? I feel like were meant so you watch the first episode and you never watch another episode. How many times does that happen to you where you watch one episode and you're like, I get it? No? Maybe it's just me.
I think that one's just you. I think everybody
Okay.
else.
Everyone's watching everything all the way to the end? All right.
Basically, they're
Isn't
like
streaming like a binge thing? That's the whole point, right? Is to get you to watch one, and then now you're hooked, and because sometimes they're just the whole season's out, you just watch the whole thing.
I get that, but sometimes you don't have like 4 hours to just sit in front of the TV when it's not a football game. If it's football, I've got 12 hours to sit there without blinking. But if it's just any other show, that can be hard.
I think you have different viewing patterns than some people. Like there are a lot of people who just sit there and watch 8 hours and stay up till 4 a.m. watching. But you have a morning show. It's hard to do. Let me ask you a question. Can you remember a show that you heard good things about, watched one episode, and turned it off? The only time I watch one episode is Apple TV. I won't pay for it.
Yeah.
And they give you one free episode. So everyone's like, you got to watch this show. And I watch one show. And I'm like, can't watch the rest, but I would.
Same. It was the one with Adam Scott.
Oh, about the workplace?
About the workplace. Yeah. One and done on that. No way.
Well, do you have Apple TV?
I do not.
Okay,
It wasn't
there you
a
go.
problem.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty. I think these shows are really like movies that they cut up into 8 parts. Like they're built like movies. They're not really
Can we
serious.
put this as a poll? If you're streaming a series, like, do you always watch all the way through, or are you more likely to do one episode and done?
I just don't understand this one episode. And
Yeah,
done
Maggie,
thing.
this feels like a Maggie
All
thing.
right, maybe it's a me thing.
I'd like to
I'm
hear from
curious.
people.
Maybe I'm the weirdo.
Like what? Like I don't know. I think of things that I binge, like Narcos or shows like that. Like,
Okay, well, so there's some great shows. Like I watched Succession all the way through. We've talked about Shogun. Okay, I watched that. I used to fall asleep a lot during it, but it's okay. I watched it. I basically got the gist.
God, I watch every. I am not a one and done. I basically stream things.
There'll be shows where I maybe watch a few and then maybe don't go back. Maybe I don't go back.
You don't finish.
Yeah, I don't. One episode, no, because a lot of pilots kind of suck.
Yeah,
like a lot of it, you don't really get the season. There's always a major twist in the middle. So to me, it's like I kind of got to get past the first episode in order to get like a real feel for it.
So one of them is Perloff recommended a show called What We Do in the Shadows, right? And it's really funny, and it's about these vampires who find their way to Staten Island. Okay, and it's hilarious. But I basically got it with the first episode.
Wow,
it's all vampire humor.
Let's move on.
Okay.
I think we have very, very different tastes.
I also think you just offended Perloff.
I didn't mean to.
It's one of the great 5 comedies of all time. I basically got it after one show. They
5
had
greatest comedies of all time. Come on. No.
What We Do in the Shadows. Oh my God, you should see the guest stars they are having this season is insane. Matthew Barry. Oh, I love. I think Taika Waititi touches.
The fantasy football guy.
Oh, no, he's like a hot comedic actor. He's really funny. What We Do in the Shadows is tremendous, and I think it's like a critical darling. But whatever. Taika Waititi is EJ and I's favorite.
Okay. I don't know. Can we put that on the poll? Do you watch one episode or
what
the
comedies
whole
do you
thing?
like? I'm just curious.
Caddyshack too.
Exactly. Sequels. 855-212-4227. Clearly my taste is impeccable. See you guys on the phones. Let's keep talking. Ravens, are they is it them and the Lions who are the 2 classes of the AFC and the NFC. We have a lot of college football for you as well. We get into our report card next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
$1 baby, nah. A movie about boxing, I'll just pass, move along. But guess what, folks? He's never even seen it. He just heard it was sad, so he's already beating it. Oh, Perloff's got opinions, oh yes he does. Doesn't need to watch to join the buzz. Meanwhile there's EJ trying to flex, but his Marvel facts, oh they're a wreck. EJ says Iron Man's from Krypton, yeah it's true. That's Superman. EJ, what you trying to do? He swears Black Panthers from Gotham City, but oh that logic's looking kinda gritty. Perloff hates a movie he's never seen, and EJ's Marvel takes are barely lean. Together they're a sight to behold, opinions half-baked, facts half-told. Perloff hates a movie he's never seen, and EJ's Marvel takes are barely lean. Together they're a sight to behold, opinions half-baked, facts half-told. So next time Perloff trashes the $1 million flick, or EJ says Hulk and Yoda share a comic trick, remember, it's all just part of the charm. Two sports guys with movie smarts on alarm. Perloff hates a movie he's never seen, and EJ's Marvel takes are barely lean. Together they're a sight to behold, opinions half-baked, facts half-told. Perloff hates a movie he's never seen, and EJ's Marvel takes are barely lean. Together they're a sight to behold, opinions half-baked, facts half-told. On alarm. No, Andrew Perloff says $1 million baby, nah. A movie about boxing, I'll just pass, move.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Short week, we got football to get ready for on Thursday. But Maggie, I know you have a lot of work to do because in your head you got a game plan for the rest of the AFC, and you clearly, I could tell today right now that you're a little on edge because the Ravens look unstoppable.
Yeah, I got all my notes here, facts and figures, like a beautiful mind. I'm trying to crack the code on the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, it's been hard because you still have Patrick Mahomes. Now you have Lamar Jackson. Now you have Derrick Henry. At least I think you can worry a little bit less about the Chargers. That must feel good.
Who was it who put something out on social media yesterday? Forgive me. They said that Josh Allen is going to be like the Drew Brees of his era.
Oh, like a Charles Barkley never win a title guy.
Well, Brees did win a title, so he might win one. No, but just in the fact that he could be overshadowed, like how Peyton Manning and Tom Brady overshadowed Brees. This is really Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson's era, and Josh is going to be like the third person.
That makes sense. Okay, I was thinking more like Dan Marino never win a Super Bowl.
Well, that might happen too. Who knows? But the idea about the individual and how they're going to be, Brees is definitely has the numbers to be in the same categories as Manning and Brady, but he doesn't have the Super Bowls of Brady. He doesn't have the MVPs of Manning.
Yeah, I mean, Brees, a couple things. One, he had Sean Payton, system quarterback. Two, he was playing indoors his whole career. So was Payton, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I think those are two dings against him. Did Brees get an MVP? He got 2 Offensive Players of the Year. I do not see an MVP, but I'll double check that. Allen needs an MVP to get probably in that conversation, but he needs a ring. I mean, isn't that the only thing that matters for a guy at that level?
Totally. And so does Lamar. Adrian's in Maryland has a thought on how to take Derrick Henry out of the game. How do you do that besides getting up 3 touchdowns?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. You just get up on them and you basically make Baltimore go to what they don't want to do is throw the ball constantly. And that's what Kansas City did. Even though Derrick Henry wasn't on the team last year, they got up early. Baltimore looked at it as we got to score with them and keep scoring with them. So they went away from the run. Kansas City wins the game in basically an ugly game. Hey, Maggie, got a question for you. I know you like to bet a lot, okay? I got Josh Allen as the MVP, Saquon Barkley as the Offensive Player of the Year. I can't come up with a Defensive Player of the Year.
TJ Watt.
Nah, his numbers are down.
I don't like that. I don't like.
Yeah.
He's not dominating games. Sometimes you don't even hear his name. I actually took Chris Jones or Hendrickson just because he's got so many sacks this year.
I know, but Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals might not make the playoffs. Are you going to give it to somebody whose team isn't in the postseason?
It's a tough call. I really like Chris Jones because their defense is top 5 defense. I don't like TJ Watt. I'm sorry. I know that's your pick. I don't like him. Also, hey, don't sleep on Bo Nix, right? Come on.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is killing Perloff, by the way, because and Adrian, thank you for the call, dude. Good to hear from you. Perloff, you picked Jaden Daniels to win Offensive Rookie of the Year the day of the draft. You're like, this is it. He's winning, and then he had it in the bag through the first 8 weeks of the season. Now he's been a little banged up. It hasn't looked as great, and here comes Bo Nix charging hard.
I mean, give it to him, but the Broncos are they're so defined by this schedule. It's crazy how bad the teams they play are. Well, I can't wait for them to get to the playoffs and just get the doors blown off them. They're like Notre Dame and Indiana. Like you got to play somebody until anyone believes you. So actually, I don't even care. I think actually Jaden Daniels is going to get a little healthier and play a little better down the stretch in this little run right now. I'm not worried about that. I would still put in money on Jaden Daniels. Defensive Player of the Year, that's a tough one. I mean, it's the best. It's so funny because I think Dexter Lawrence is the highest graded Pro Football Focus guy, and he's on the Giants, who are giving up on the season. So TJ Watt has been totally taken out. I don't know what you're going to do here.
Well, Myles Garrett, I mean, had a really good game.
They're terrible.
I know, but that's the thing. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Myles Garrett also has been in and out of the lineup a little bit. This is impossible. Is there a DB? Maybe like remember when Stephon Gilmore came away with
I'm thinking
it?
Pat Surtain, maybe.
He's awesome.
He's a great player. The Broncos have a great defense.
Do you feel like defensive player of the year? Yeah, they have a great defense because they play the Titans and the Jags every week.
It's possible it goes to Chris Jones.
I mean, Aiden Hutchinson was going to win this thing running away. Chris Jones is a great choice.
I think this is going to be one of the weakest defensive player of the years ever, which is weird because offenses are all down. But I don't look at these teams and say there's one guy that's just taking over games every week.
You still have a lot of high-profile games with TJ Watt. He's going to be playing on Christmas, right? He's going to be playing against the Chiefs. They're going to be playing all these big games. He still can get back into it.
Definitely. The thing about TJ Watt, he's measured against himself, and he's just not, for whatever reason, just not having the same year that he's had in the past. You know, I mean, he's challenged for sack rate. He's at 7.5 sacks. He had 19 last year, 22.5 in 21. He's out on pace for about 13 because I think offenses have figured out, like, hey, we better double team, triple team, put 4 guys on that guy. Are voters savvy enough to realize that he's drawing all the attention?
Well, the other part, too, is I know it's supposed to be for one player, but when Alex Highsmith comes back, that's probably going to free up some things for TJ Watt. And he is going to come. He is back. So that'll be, I'm not jumping off the TJ Watt bandwagon yet. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines for us. We'll get to our college football report card in just a little bit. What's up, Bogusch?
Guys, 3 meetings, 3 happy game-ending handshakes for John Harbaugh. He still hasn't lost to little brother Jim after Monday Night Football in L.A.
I just told him, hey, you're a great coach and you have a great team, you know, and I love you. And he said, I love you and congratulations. That was good, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Does he have to tell his brother he's a good coach? He just won the national championship.
Just in case you forgot. Jim and the Chargers did score the first 10 points last night, but the Ravens eventually led by 14 before winning 30-23. Lamar Jackson threw for 2 scores and ran for another.
For me, being a big brother, it's like I can't lose to my little brother, you know, and that's what I believe going into that game. He was thinking a lot, you know, and then Jim on the other side, I believe he was like, I got to beat my big brother. But we came out victorious, so I feel like that's a good thing.
The Ravens ran for 212 yards last night, only 15 from Jackson, 140, though, from Derrick Henry. The Chargers' 4-game winning streak is over. They've now allowed 57 points over their last 2 games after not allowing more than 20 through their first 9. Detroit area prosecutors say Lions wideout Jamison Williams will not face charges for an October 8th traffic stop. That's the one where a gun was found under Williams' passenger seat. He did not have a concealed carry permit, so he was briefly in custody but then released. Police and prosecutors revisited the incident after local media asked why Williams was let go that night. The lawyers now say this decision had nothing to do with Williams' status as a pro athlete. From Michael Malone's rant to Dan Hurley as the UConn head coach, not as relaxed as you're supposed to be in Maui. Hurley did not like the officiating at all during yesterday's game with Memphis, but with 1 minute left in overtime, he really didn't like a foul called against his guys. He fell on the court in disbelief, getting a tech. The Tigers hit 4 free throws, 2 for the regular foul, 2 for the tech to break a tie, and then they won 99-97. First, here's Hurley on how he ended up on the court.
I don't know what happened. I might have lost my balance by the absurdity of the call, or maybe I tripped.
Or maybe you tripped.
Or maybe he threw a tantrum.
The call was an over-the-back call, and here's his takedown of that whistle.
That over-the-back call at that point of the game, there was no attempt to block out. There was a player on Memphis that made a half-ass effort to rebound that basketball, and Liam McNeely high-pointed that rebound. For that call to be made at that point of the game was a complete joke.
I believe he also said, how many titles do we have to win to get a better whistle?
I mean, Dan Hurley, it's the calm voice after the fact that makes it even creepier it makes it even more sinister in some ways because he's such a maniac during the game. Can you imagine this guy, if he had actually coached the Lakers and he's doing this 82 times a season?
I think we said that. I think we said that he's not built for 82 games plus the playoffs.
No.
He's just not.
Unless
tell
he
you
would
what-
change his attitude or something.
One thing, I'm betting on him in March. I love this psycho attitude.
I mean, I turned that game on at like 2:42 yesterday, and they were coming out of their first media timeout, and he was already scolding a referee.
You're not
It's
tired
4
of this
minutes
act?
in.
You guys aren't tired of this act?
You tired of them winning titles? You tired of Coach K being? He was the same guy, like Bobby Knight. Like those guys all win.
Coach K was never what Dan Hurley is a grown ass man throwing tantrums like he's a 6-year-old who didn't get a toy at Toys R Us. Come on, man.
That's like very Bobby Knight-ish.
It's a tired. He was a tired act too. This is all just so. This is embarrassing. It's an embarrassing look for Dan Hurley. I'm tired of this shtick.
By the way, if I'm Penny Hardaway, I don't like him saying my guys were giving a half-ass effort on a key play.
Wow.
You lost.
What if they were?
I don't think I watched the play. I don't think it was a half-ass effort. I think it was a bang-bang play. His guy got the ball. I don't think it was that terrible of a call. But like, I know Dan's upset, but it's like, well, you guys shouldn't have gave a half-ass effort in the first half when you were down 15, 20 points, whatever you were down.
I guess here's the thing, right? You're right. I think some of it's an act, but I'm not really sure where the act ends and where the guy begins.
And that do I want my 19-year-old, getting coached by this guy who's a lunatic?
Oh, yeah,
it's bananas. Absolutely bananas.
Your questioning is professionalism.
They won 2 titles in a row, man. How do you?
Wonderful. That's great. Whoop-de-doo. Throw a parade down stores. Is a grown-ass man. Act like it.
So, but that's the big said. Who cares about any of that? If she's going to win another title, isn't that all that matters at the end of the day?
And Manny's saying no.
No, I don't think so. Not when you're at UConn. If you want to do this at some D2 school that doesn't have the type of pristine program that UConn has with the basketball,
Wait, you being serious about?
Come on.
Jim Calhoun's UConn? What?
Kevin Ollie's blacklisted from college basketball still, I think.
With the women's program as well. This looks bad for all of UConn basketball, men's and women's program.
Oh, my God. You have it exactly wrong.
Why is that?
The only thing that matters are those trophies in the trophy case. It's all that matters. So the fact that you said pristine program, they were the dirtiest program for decades at winning titles.
Well, not the dirtiest.
Right. But they were definitely.
Yeah, come on.
I mean,
there were dirtier programs. No, I understand.
Jim Calhoun
got in
is
trouble.
a polarizing figure. Let's put it that way. I mean, and by the way, you can't. Coach K, you think Coach K was a saint? Get out of here. He was as angry as any coach has ever been and ever will be. And Bobby Knight's even worse than him. So, no.
Well, Bobby Knight's not a good example for you because he definitely got fired for being a hothead.
Yes,
right.
but he's
definitely hands on kids, which is not what we're talking about here.
Universally agreed to be the best college basketball coach behind John Wood. Like,
yeah, but nobody
people
thought that Bobby
worship
Knight was being professional. To Manny's point, he's calling out the professionalism of Dan Hurley. You could also call out the lack of professionalism for Bobby Knight.
Of course,
he
but
should have never acted that way. He acted like a jerk.
I'm not saying he should have, but if everyone knows that Bobby Knight had kept winning titles, he could have done whatever he wanted. But he started losing, and then he was acting like that.
But
So,
that's the big question about UConn is how long is this run? Because I watched them against a Memphis team that a lot of people don't think very highly of, have major problems.
Well, it's November.
It's November, but I mean, college basketball is similar to college football. I don't know if you're going to have these 10-year runs with the transfer portal. I think there's going to be a lot more. One team is up, and then the next team is up. I don't know if you're going to have a Mike Krzyzewski just run like this. So Hurley acts like this now, and he can get away with it, I think, because of those championships, Pearl. But is he going to? What happens if they're, a team that's a middle of the road kind of team, which UConn, we've seen them fall.
Yeah,
we've seen that happen.
I get that, but he's now a 2-time national champion coach. It's like Dabo Swinney. Dabo's quote unquote down now, but do you think he's getting fired? No way.
Oh, I know the pressure he's gotten in South Carolina and Clemson. He had to cancel his radio show because calls were like, you're a bum and you're overrated and you're overpaid. This thing could turn so fast for college coaches.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone thinks Dabo's actually getting fired. Same thing. I know Jim Calhoun won 3 titles, right? But was it 3 or 2 for Calhoun? 3.
3, yeah.
So you're going to obviously get a lot more room.
It's not so much being fired. It's just about being that national pariah that Manny's talking about, where it's like, at what point do you just become a clown, right? Like it's we kind of laugh at it, we joke about it. Yeah, he's authentic. That's one thing I will say. I don't agree that he's putting it on. I think this is just always how he's been since he was a player, really. But again, it's just very fickle. Like I watched the UConn team. They don't look as dominant as they looked the last 2 years.
I think the problem is there's no recourse here. There's no lack of professionalism, or man, if you think that Dan Hurley's acting like a child, there's no recourse, because if he's going to win, then he'll get to act like this.
Yeah.
That's it.
One thing about UConn is they're a little
It's not
recession-proof because they're not like Kentucky where they have to have like all superstars. Like that's a funny thing about Danny Hurley. Like he doesn't really have NBA-laden teams. He's got some NBA players, but like he coaches up these.
Well, Stephon Castle, didn't he go 4th in the draft this year?
He had 2 lottery picks last year. Hawkins was basically almost a lottery pick, or may have been a lottery pick.
Yeah, but it's certainly not like Duke or Kentucky. I mean, how many year Duke had Zion? How many top 5 picks were?
Yeah, that year was.
And Kentucky's always like he doesn't rotate in all the top recruits.
No, but he's getting top recruits. He's
getting
might
top
not be
recruits,
getting the Cooper
but
flags, but he's getting the
Liam
next
McNeil,
level
the
of
guy
guys.
Liam McNeil, the guy who made the foul, is a McDonald American.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is he getting the number 1 recruiting class year in and year out? Not necessarily.
No, but his recruiting classes are different now because they've won back-to-back titles. So, which is to Manny's point of, do I want my kid to play for him? A lot of people want their kid to play for him.
Yeah, he seems to. The kids like him, right? Isn't he popular?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that he has definitely. The concern always is these guys can wear out very fast, and like at some point, dudes stop listening. But because the roster turns over every year to some extent, it's not like you're on year 6 or year 7 of him screaming in your face to really get fed up with him.
It also seems a little different than like a Bob Knight, where it seemed like, oh my God, he may actually hurt one of his players, or did, I guess, in certain instances. Or Tom Izzo when he gets really crazy. Wasn't it almost purely about the refs? Most of his player stuff seems more positive. I don't really see him just berating, lighting into one of his guys. Look, his team's up 30 points all the time, so maybe that's why.
Yeah,
but
go to a practice.
Yeah, practices are always going to be different. I mean, just in the games. It feels a little different than some of the issues we saw with Bob Knight, the guy at Rutgers, Rice, who got fired about 10-15, Mike Rice a couple of years ago. Right. So, it feels a little different. I think that's why for some it will be more savory.
Yeah, I still think, we said it last week joking about it because he was pissed about not winning by enough last week. Sometimes it sounds like he doesn't like basketball. Like he doesn't like his job. He's just angry to be
miserable.
There. Yeah.
I get that.
Ouch.
What are they right?
Is that a shot at us?
No, I'm saying about him. It's a lot of pressure.
Oh. You said I get that, like you knew from experience about
No, I
hating
get that.
your team.
I get that sort of love-hate with your job when it's something like this. We've seen athletes say this a lot. It's not just coaches. I think athletes too. And it's funny because Dan Hurley and Bobby Hurley were always going to be coaches. Look at their dad, just like the Harbaughs last night. They were saying on the broadcast there was never a chance they were going to do anything else but be coaches. And I think when it's predestined like that and predetermined, maybe you love it, but maybe you resent it too. There's probably a lot wrapped up in it.
UConn ranked number 2 this year, Pro. So
yeah, I was about to say they're falling off too. Yeah, I mean nobody repeats in any sport anymore, and they repeated. So I would not count out Danny Hurley. Sorry, Manny. I think you're going to be stuck with him.
Man, he's tapped out.
Locked into the Knicks highlights.
I'm watching the Knicks rerun.
Highlights. Get out of here. All right, we got to take a quick break, folks. Thank you so much. We have our college football report card coming your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to go. I have to go to class.
Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
Let's find out who made the grade after this weekend's college football action.
He is totally gonna kill at college.
What, like it's hard?
As of this moment, they're on double secret probation.
Maggie and Perloff hand out their college report card.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
That's your opinion. Maggie and Perloff back here on the Infinity Sports Network. Okay, so EJ's going to throw out a person or a team, and we'll tell you what's the grade. Go ahead, EJ.
How about Kalen DeBoer, head coach at Alabama? They lose a tough one to Oklahoma this weekend.
Man, is this for this game or the season?
Kind of feels like the same thing.
Dealer's
right?
choice for you.
I'm going to go with this one as a C-. I mean, you have 3 points. You're the offensive guy. Jalen Milroe saved one of his worst games for the end of the year. This is when you're supposed to be peaking. This was a tough game for Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, I mean, C- is generous. He just lost 24-3 to Oklahoma, who stinks right now. Got run all over, was out tough. Okay, I was trying to squint and see him as a fit with Jalen Milroe. It's a wrong quarterback for Kalen DeBoer. Maybe that's an excuse, but I'm going to give him a D.
Okay, well, let's go to Colorado, or let's go to Kansas City, where Colorado played against Kansas. They lost this one. What are you giving Shedeur Sanders?
I gave him a B. It wasn't Shedeur. This was we just got out-toughed by Kansas. Kansas wanted it more, was much more physical. So the worst thing for a quarterback, I always say this is an opposing running game. Shedeur didn't have the ball in his hand enough to really make an impact. He's still really good, by the way. Oh, my God, does he see the field. And he is so confident. Like, the rush gets at him, and they're right at his feet, and he just goes to the left. He's still really good. Nothing about that loss was on Shedeur to me.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to go A- on this one. I mean, the final totals for him looked good, and I didn't think he was the problem at all. Now, I don't know if it was necessarily as simple as what Deion Sanders said after the game, which is you guys got humbled, you were reading your own clippings. I think that actually takes some of the blame away from Deion, who got outcoached in this game by Lance Leipold, and a lot of people have gotten outcoached by Kansas in the last couple games.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that because I think I deflected a little from the coaching staff. Obviously, he's more in it than we are. But I didn't think Shedeur was the one who got over his head. Didn't seem like he was taking the opponent too serious, not serious enough.
Yeah, and isn't his calm remarkable, too, about Shedeur? Like, does he ever look like anything bothers him and makes him nervous? Very steady player.
At times he's getting creamed.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one really cheap hit that they didn't call where the guy went in. He came right back out and threw the ball like nothing had happened on the next play. So tough.
How is that not a flag, by the way?
The refs are just a joke.
I know.
A complete joke this year. That was insane. One of the worst hits I've ever seen. Let's go to Ohio State. How about Will Howard putting out cigarettes, talking trash? What do you think about the Ohio State QB?
You know, he doesn't scare me. So I'm going to give him a B-. Will Howard doesn't scare me. And listen, Ohio State has the best odds to win the national title. They might win the national title, but I'm not so afraid it's going to be because of some great game Will Howard is going to play. I think he's like a B- quarterback.
I'm giving him an A on the group project that is the Ohio State offense because I don't know about Will Howard, but you even saw it against Indiana. This might be the best receiving core of all time. It is insane. Carnell Tate's arm, like they have 3 top half of the first round receivers and a good tight end and amazing running backs. Like, is Will Howard the right guy for this team? Because all you have to do is put it out there for these guys. They're insane.
I know, but see, that's why I'm going B-. Because imagine if he was actually an A+ quarterback, they would be one of the great college football teams of all time, maybe.
But I think that he does the right thing. He is not trying to do too much. He's not putting the ball in harm's way, just sort of getting into his playmakers.
To be fair to him, the whole offensive line's been all shuffled around too, so I guess that's something.
Oh man, if you get Egbuka in space running, oh wow, there's just so many ways. This is a really, really interesting team. I have no idea how good he is. Do you have any sense? You said he doesn't scare you.
No.
But it's really hard to tell because the team around him is so good.
So I was going to say B-. What grade did you give him? Sorry.
I gave him an
A for the group project.
Because he's definitely like a group project guy. You know when like you're like with 5 people on a group project and they're all really smart? That's Will Howard.
Yeah. What did you say before? This guy, he's just going to be a backup quarterback till the end of time?
Oh, yeah. I just feel like he's going to be a good backup quarterback who's going to win like an important game one time in his career, and he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, he's got a Craig Krenzel vibe for Ohio State. I think he's good enough to win a title for sure.
Let's get to the last one. Let's stay in Columbus, but let's go to the other sideline. What about Kurt Cignetti in his first big game at Indiana?
I give him B-. I feel like they belonged on the field with Ohio State, and that is something. I mean, their offense was not good at all, but at least he had his team up enough to play defense. Like I had very low expectations coming to this game, and they were on the road, and yes, their offense was terrible, looked super tight, but their defense hung in there big time against Ohio State because they didn't get the doors run off them, and that to me is an accomplishment.
I'm giving him a C. I like Coach. He talks a lot. Google me, this and that, and I like the renewed swagger that he has for Indiana, but you're saying that, yes, they didn't get boat raced because sometimes in college football, the scores can be so embarrassingly lopsided. But when it was 38-7, I never thought that they were in any danger. And I didn't think they were coming back when it was 31-7. And I didn't think they were coming back. They were bad in the places that you need to be good when you're playing this type of game on the road, which is the special teams and the fundamentals all have to be so buttoned up, and they were not. And to be honest, I know going to the Horseshoe is going to be really hard, but they got lucky that it wasn't a night game. They got a noon game, and they scored on that first drive, and then we didn't hear from them again on the offensive side for 2 hours.
I'd like to see them play again on a neutral field now that Indiana's taken that first blow to see if they can make it more of a game. Obviously, going to the Horseshoe is not ideal.
No.
And I'm not sure Curtis Rourke is really healthy either.
That's part of it. I get it. But, again, talked a lot. Thought they got exposed against Ohio State personally. 855. Yes.
Sorry, talking for a purpose, though, to fire up his team.
Sure. 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, we're going to talk some of these college quarterbacks. Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, is going to join us next. Let's get into it with the former NFL scout.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Inside the 7, 3rd and goal for the Ravens. Deep in Charger territory, shotgun snap, dropping back 5, line drive throw, caught, leaping, catch back to the end zone, the tight end Andrews. A beautiful thread-like line drive touchdown pass. Lamar Jackson with a strike of 6 yards.
Thank you to Kevin Harlan and Westwood One for that call. Big Mark Andrews touchdown. Big Mark Andrews game because he also was the ball carrier on a direct snap on what was one of the biggest plays of the game, Perloff. It was under 2 minutes left to go in the first half, and the Ravens decided to go for it on a 4th and 1 from their own 16. Whoa. That was surprising, but they did basically the tush push with Mark Andrews, and he just got the first down.
It's so funny. It didn't feel that scary of a play to me. You're right. Obviously, if they miss it, that was a disaster.
Oh, John Harbaugh, even for all the success that he's had, that would be a very hard one to defend. Going from your own 16, even Dan Campbell wouldn't do something that crazy.
Well, now it's so, I mean, then after that one, they had 2 more 4th down conversions that looked like the easiest plays they've ever had. They had no fear of the Chargers' defensive line. They did try a 2-point conversion later, which was just a hot mess, like every
They
other
all are.
I need to revisit the analytics on 2-point conversions. They seem really hard to convert right now.
Well, we've been talking about the Ravens and whether or not they are the best team right now in the AFC and whether it's the Ravens and the Lions as the 2 best teams in the league. But when you talk about 2-point conversions, I feel like the Ravens are not even close on some of these. Last week against the Steelers, it was an embarrassment. This week, I had something's going on with them at the 2-point conversion.
Well, EJ nailed it, I think. 2-point conversions are down because teams will not run. So they're so nervous that they're like, well, we need the ball in the quarterback's hands. He's going to roll right and find something. Seems like defenses adjusted. Again, last night, the Ravens had no reason to go for 2, and they did, and it made it a game.
Manny, can we hear from John Harbaugh, please? Can I have cut 3? Because obviously the Harbaughs going against each other, which they played up quite a bit during the broadcast. They didn't really jam it down our throats, and I think it's because the Harbaugh parents were actually not at the game. Jack and Jackie were celebrating their 63rd wedding anniversary, and they decided to do that in Florida. So they were not at the game, so we weren't getting all the crowd shots of the parents. But listen, it's special. 2 brothers playing against each other, coaching against each other. Here's John Harbaugh saying his brother is the best coach in the NFL.
And these are just huge battles every week in this league. And going against a team that's this well coached by all their coaches and by my brother Jim, best coach in the National Football League, when he's done with that team and how hard they play and what they did, hats off to them because they're going to win a lot more football games this year, and they're going to be a major factor in the playoffs.
Okay. So obviously he's trying to lobby, I think, for Jim to win Coach of the Year and first season of the Chargers.
Yeah.
But is he wrong? Is Jim Harbaugh the best coach in the NFL?
Ooh, I don't know. He's certainly in the top 5. I mean,
it's Andy Reid's world, isn't it? And Kyle Shanahan?
Andy Reid's grandfathered in.
Mike Tomlin? Is Jim Harbaugh cracking the top 5 right now? Do you take the full body of work, everything he did with San Francisco, and then put it in there?
It just feels like it's kind of a silly question because you give a certain playoff run. Sean McVay outcoached everyone in 2021. Andy Reid is grandfathered in. No, I don't know. Coach of the Year is always like a one and done anyway, right?
What's
like
up,
Matt Nagy.
Unless there's Stefanski, and you got 2 of them. What's up with the hyperbole with the Harbaughs? First, it's Justin Herbert is the greatest quarterback in the history of the league, and now it's Jim Harbaugh's the best coach in the NFL. Thank you, Manny. Let's get to our guest, shall we? Jim Nagy is the executive vice president of the Reese's Senior Bowl. This is a very busy time of year for him because he's flying all around the country, hand-delivering these invitations to some of college football's biggest stars. Jim, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, guys.
So just saw that you were down in Miami, right? Little Cam Ward. Did I see that on your social media?
Yeah, we were down there a couple weeks ago. Just like in Mario Cristobal fashion, I really appreciated him opening up his office to let us invite Cam Ward in his office. But then he made us sit on that video for 2 weeks until they got through the Wake Forest game. So, yeah, it was really cool. I appreciate Mario. I've known him a long time. So for him to allow us to come down there and do that. We usually do it with smaller schools because when you show up and you do an invite in a smaller school, the teammates know who you're there for. At a bigger school and in a great team like Miami, obviously there's some kids disappointed they're not getting a Senior Bowl invite. So that's why we tucked it away and did it in Mario's office. But yeah, we're excited to get Cam on board. We've had first round quarterbacks in 8 of the last 9 years. So it's going to be good to get Cam down here and hopefully continue that string.
Jim, let's just dive into Cam Ward for a second. Is the NFL concerned at all about the fact that he spends about 3.5 minutes in the pocket before he decides to throw the ball? Like he's so confident that he can make any play. Is that going to translate to the NFL? He holds on to the ball forever and usually makes a play. Sometimes it goes badly.
Well, he will probably have to work on speeding up the operation a little bit. You're not going to have that much time, in the NFL as you will against some of these ACC opponents. But what I love about Cam is he's got the right central nervous system, is what an old scout I used to work with used to say. There was a couple plays early in the year. I don't know if you watched that Florida game and whatever that was, week 2. My gosh. I mean, it was amazing how he's just standing back there patting the ball. But yeah, he will have to speed things up. But, he's so ultra confident in 2 things. It's his ability to move around and make kind of those off-script magic plays, which he did a lot more of at Washington State. I mean, that's where I really think Cam's game has evolved this year, as he is playing more from the pocket, which is what the NFL wanted to see. So he's ultra confident in that ability. And then also his arm. He's got great arm talent. We can see that. He's one of those guys that can, make every throw from every arm slot. And that's hard to coach. You have courage or you don't, is what I found with quarterbacks. It's really hard to coach that into a guy. You can usually rein a guy back if they've got a little gunslinger in them, but it's hard to coach that into a guy.
Jim Nagy is joining us, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Spent 18 years in the NFL as a scout, though, so we love to tap into all of your expertise. Jim, and, it feels a little bit like when it comes to scouting quarterbacks, it's kind of Shedeur's world, and we're sort of all living in it. I'm curious your thoughts, putting your scout cap on for a second. What do you see from Shedeur, the positives, maybe some of the things he'll have to clean up when he gets to the league?
Well, I'll start with where Andrew left off with Cam. It's holding the ball too long is what he's going to get picked apart for. But there are a lot of positives. The one thing he probably doesn't get enough credit for is his toughness. Over the last 2 years, he gets hit a lot. He's not getting hit as much this year, but he's been hit a lot over the last 2 years. And he does get up and keep playing in battles. So I think that's an underrated part of Shedeur. Everyone likes to focus on kind of the pregame and postgame field stuff. And the fact that they live in their little bubble out there in Boulder and he and Dion and Travis Hunter kind of, do their own thing. But from a football standpoint, he's probably got the most natural motion of anyone in this class. He's really accurate on the move. I mean, there's some big time throws on tape. And again, the NFL kind of breaks it down this way. At least this is how I always broke it down. You can eliminate about 85% of the throws these college guys make and really drill down on when they're under duress and when they're throwing into tight windows, and ideally both things, because that's NFL football, is when you got heat coming in your face and you're throwing into tight windows. And he's made a bunch of wild throws this year in those situations. So plenty to like, a lot to like. But I don't think we need to crown him like the number 1 overall pick yet, but he's certainly going to be in that mix with this quarterback class. When you look at this class, it is kind of a jumbled mess when you talk to teams. Their order of where this quarterback class is all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Shedeur Sanders now, Cam Ward. If, say, those guys were the top 2 guys, which you see on a lot of big boards right now, who would be the candidates for the 3rd best quarterback?
All right, well, let's start with saying those big boards out there aren't usually very accurate, but but again, it's all over the place. The guys that are going to be in the mix, and we did calls when we put our roster together this year. Before we sent invites out, we did calls with 14 NFL teams. So it's all like director level guys or higher, assistant GMs. So we've got a really good feel for where the league's at with these guys. It's Carson Beck at Georgia. It's Quinn Ewers at Texas, Jalen Milroe, Alabama. I'm trying to think of who else might be in that mix. Garrett Nussmeier is in that mix, but I'm hearing that Garrett's probably going to go back to school for another year, which is probably the smart decision. He's got crazy talent, Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, I'm a huge fan, but it probably would behoove him to go back and get some more starts at the college level, just because we see what's happening with these pro quarterbacks. They're getting thrown right in. So that's really the order right there. That's like the top 6 guys for all the teams. And again, like I said, the order is just kind of depending on what team you talk to.
Jim, I'll just read Kuiper's big board, for example. Just an example big board. A couple other names lower on in the top 10. Quinn Ewers, Drew Aller, Curtis Rourke, Jackson Dart, and Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure you've been evaluating those guys as well. Is there any one of them that might really start to pop soon?
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Dart is the guy that the league really wanted to see here in Mobile, just because in that offense at Ole Miss, and this is all credit to Lane Kiffin, he's such a good play caller. But like one assistant GM on our call said, it's hard to evaluate because it's like watching routes on air, where they're just out there like in like a walkthrough setting, because the guys are running wide open and he's standing back there in a clean pocket. Very non-transitive tape, if you will. Going back to my last comment, but another guy a couple other guys I would throw in that mix. Riley Leonard at Notre Dame is a guy that Mel had in his mock draft over the summer. And Riley got off to a little bit of a slow start there at Notre Dame. I mean, just learning the people around him, but he's played great. I mean, you look like the last 6 weeks, Riley Leonard's playing at a really high level. I mean, I'm not saying he's in that first round conversation, but he certainly worked his way into like day 2 conversation. I had a team hit me up the other day that just watched him, and they just put a 3rd round grade on him, this particular scout, and he's a pretty high up guy. So Riley's going to be up there. And then the other guy that I don't think's getting enough credit right now is Will Howard at Ohio State. So, Will was a guy that we were going to invite to the Senior Bowl last year. When we found out we weren't going to get Jaden Daniels, Will was kind of the next guy up for us. And when I called him, he was like, "Jim, I can't believe you're calling me right now. I'm getting on a plane to Columbus, Ohio." So it was awful timing. Had I called the day before, maybe Will Howard wouldn't be at Ohio State right now, because he really did want to come out in last year's draft. But Will's throwing it like a 75% clip. We see what Ohio State's doing. I do think they're the most talented team in college football. So they could make a deep run. And he's a guy that needs to be in that conversation more. I'm surprised he's not getting more Heisman love, considering what they're doing at Ohio State and what he's doing, the way he's playing. So there's a couple more names for you.
Jim Nagy is the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. It's literally like that. One phone call, guy gets to the Senior Bowl, can totally change the outlook of his entire career, basically of his life. And Jim's the one who's the gatekeeper there. Jim, I'm curious, outside of quarterbacks for a second, Travis Hunter, special, looks like he's going to win the Heisman. But put your NFL scout hat on for a second. If you were to bring Travis Hunter into your program, do you want him playing offense or defense? How do you want to use this talent? What's the best way to maximize it?
Well, Maggie, I'd say this. The NFL right now is just trying to land on what position does he play best and what's that ceiling. What he's doing playing both sides of the ball is amazing, right? Amazing. If he gets the Heisman, he's deserving. I think Ashton Jeanty at Boise State should certainly that's going to be a tough call. I think Ashton Jeanty is playing his position better than any other player is playing their position this year, in my opinion. So what Travis is doing is amazing. The athletic talent is clear. It's obvious to anyone that watches the guy. I think, again, similar to like the Shedeur Sanders talk in his toughness being underrated, I think what we lose in the Travis Hunter thing is the focus it takes to play all those snaps, the toughness it takes to play all those snaps, the durability to play all those snaps. So, I don't think it's viable for him to do that at the next level. It's just a way faster, more violent sport when you get to the NFL. But, where teams need to land on is, okay, how great is he at each position? It's great he's playing both. It's unbelievable he's playing both. But is he a Pro Bowler at either position? Is he a Pro Bowler at both positions? To me, it's much harder to find lockdown corners than it is wide receivers right now. So to me, ideally, he's a corner, and then you spot play him on offense and get, manufacture 6 to 10 touches a game, kind of like the Cowboys and Falcons did when his coach Deion Sanders played in the league. I think that would be an ideal blueprint for a lot of these teams. But again, I think that first they need to land on like how good is he actually at each of these positions.
Jim, I have a sort of a college football question. We were debating about Georgia. Do they have a chance to win it all this year, even though they've been up and down? Have you seen a team like Georgia been thinned out by NIL? Like Georgia can't have 3 ways of NFL defensive linemen coming in. Is there more parity when you're doing your job and you're scouting the big schools? Are they less talented than they were, say, just 3 years ago?
Well, Andrew, certainly the depth is taking a hit. I heard Coach Saban say something recently that you're really losing your second and third.
I
think we lost Jim for a second. Coach Saban, has all power and probably jumped in and said, be careful.
He also controls the weather.
Jim, I think we lost you there for a second.
Yeah.
You were quoting Coach Saban.
Oh, we're getting you back up. Okay. So you're ready to go, Jim. Come on back. What was Nick Saban saying about the depth at some of these power schools?
Yeah, just the second and third strings are taking a hit. So you got these backup players that are close to getting on the field but aren't on the field, and they think they should be on the field. So those are the guys that are the easy targets in the portal. So you're really losing your depth. You're going from your first string down to some really young players. And but back to Georgia. I mean, yeah, they've got a chance to make a deep run. If you just do like NFL talent versus NFL talent, we sent 11 Senior Bowl invites to Columbus, Ohio. That was by far the most. Georgia had the second most with 6. And we couldn't send junior invites yet, so that'll happen once those guys declare. And that's going to be a handful more for Ohio State. That's going to be a handful more for Georgia. So if you're just doing the NFL talent thing, Georgia should be at least in the semis. And we see when they play their best ball, they're really hard to beat.
Jim, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We know it's super busy right now.
By the way, any invites go to Dartmouth football out there, Jim? My alma mater?
I told him not to ask that question.
They're pretty good this year.
I wish, man. No Ivy Leaguers this year. We had a pseudo Ivy Leaguer last year. A guy that played at Cornell, Jalix Hunt, who ended up going in the 3rd round. He had portaled to Houston Christian.
Yeah,
that's the closest thing we got to an Ivy Leaguer last year. I don't think we're gonna get one this year.
Did you have Yeshivash? I have trouble saying Yoshivash. Was he at the Senior Bowl at Princeton or no?
We sure did. The Flying Hawaiian. He had a great week down here.
I was gonna ask you who's the next Tyson Bagent, but we'll have to save that for another time because we still got a while to go in this whole process because that was one of Jim's all-time diamond in the rough picks, who ends up obviously is the backup now to Caleb Williams on the Chicago Bears. Jim, thank you so much. We know again.
At a school that you guys never heard of.
Shepherd?
Thought you were making it up.
You guys never heard of. Shepherd University.
Still not convinced it's a real place, Jim. Still not convinced. Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. You can find him on X, JimNagy_SB. And, of course, was part of franchises that went to 6 Super Bowls and won 4 of them. You know what you're talking about. Thank you, Jim.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah, you too, Jim. Thank you.
Same to you, Jim. I know he's like his social media is awesome because he's flying all over the country and he gets to hand out the invites. It's like giving someone a golden ticket.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to go to Mobile. I actually never gotten to do a week of Senior Bowl practices, and it's like a mini NFL convention like the Combine now, but even more fun. And Jim's the greatest guy. We'll see. That's interesting comments on Shedeur, Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward. Getting excited, Maggie.
You said Garrett Nussmeier might go back to LSU. I wonder, is there any world where Jalen Milroe plays another year of college football?
Well, not with Kellen DeBoer, I hope. They are not a match.
Somewhere else. They're not a great match, but maybe somewhere else. I just wonder if, I'm looking at some big boards and mock drafts and such, and it looks like I'm seeing him mocked to the Jets at 7.
Oh, goody.
Well, think about Kellen DeBoer. Anthony Richardson went 4. Who was not a great passer at Florida, but he's 6'5". I don't know if Jalen Milroe cracks 6 feet. So I think that the NFL is still a little bit shallow on the height. And what about Dylan Gabriel, too? Another short guy. We didn't even get into him. It it feels like to me, Shedeur and Cam seem to be, everything we're hearing, they're separating themselves from this class.
Yep. 855-212-4227. Lots more to do, including a big question about Brian Kelly at LSU. We'll get to that next.
All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi, learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
Finally got it.
By the way, can I ask a question? Has this Defensive Player of the Week been mentioned on the show previously?
Previously? What do you mean?
Has his name come out of my mouth during the show?
Today?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
All right. After being 0 for the century on these.
Maybe he did, actually.
I think I did.
Oh. I
Go
thought
ahead.
I was going to get it this week.
Is it a former Giant?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why we're getting the Deion Sanders laugh track.
Yeah.
Who
is it?
I thought I had this one, and I'm 0 for a million on these. I thought it was definitely going to be Bryce Thornton from Florida because EJ loves dunking on Lane Kiffin. He came up with the 2 interceptions against Ole Miss.
He was awesome. I really didn't consider him, but that was good.
Oh, okay.
You love dunking on Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but it's Florida.
Oh, I know. It's your big rivalry.
Yeah, it's hard for me to give that much love to Florida. But I'm happy they did it. It makes Miami's resume look great.
You
All
look
right.
dejected, Maggie.
Well, I thought I had it. I did. So it's an NFL person.
I thought it was Letter Williams or Xavier McKinney.
Xavier McKinney, just to rub it in Manny and Bogus's face.
No.
Also good picks.
He has 7 interceptions, and the whole Giants secondary is 0.
That's right.
Former Giant.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm going back because I like when guys take things personally. So, I'm going to go back to Thursday Night Football. I'm giving it to Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Week, 3 sacks against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's Thursday night.
Yeah, but it's a week. So, it's a week, and we do this on Tuesday. So, it was part of the NFL schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going with Myles Garrett in the snow, just destroying the Pittsburgh Steelers offense pretty much single-handedly. And again, this guy, you think he had nothing to play for. It said he took it personally that T.J. Watt didn't show up to the awards ceremony to watch Garrett get his trophy. So I like that he went out there and balled out the way he did. So I'm going with Myles Garrett, who I think was mentioned earlier on the show.
Oh, okay.
He was.
I really thought you were doing Leonard Williams because he single-handedly just took over that entire game.
No, it was a lot of guys who had great weeks also in the NFL who didn't, their teams lost. Like Danielle Hunter was awesome.
I know.
Right,
and
but the
just
Texans
it didn't
lost.
matter.
Took him a while to get going, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Well, that's your defensive player. Thursday, that game feels like it was about 100 years ago.
Yeah, that snow game. That feels like something. That was this season. The snow globe game.
Isn't that wild? Bogusch has headlines for us. Stuff a lot more recent than Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see. Second half scoring has been a problem all season long for the Chargers. They scored the first 10 points of Monday Night Football and had 13 by halftime, but then managed just a field goal until the final minute of the game. QB Justin Herbert tries to figure it out.
We wanted to score more points, and we didn't do that. And, you got to take a look back at, getting those opportunities in the red zone and making sure that we're converting on third down. I thought we did a good job of limiting turnovers, keeping the ball and doing everything we can. We just got to score more points.
The Ravens, meanwhile, were scoring on their first 3 possessions of the second half to open a 14-point lead before winning 30-23. John Harbaugh happy his guys had 60 minutes in them.
This is a big win for our guys. I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of the way they came out and responded. After the first 10 points, we're down 10-0, and our guys step up.
John has now won all 3 Harbaugh Bowls. Jim's Chargers had their 4-game winning streak end last night. They allowed 212 rushing yards, including 140 to Derrick Henry. Rams receiver DeMarcus Robinson arrested early yesterday morning on suspicion of DUI. The California Highway Patrol says officers observed a car going over 100 miles an hour with the driver showing obvious signs of impairment. And Patriots safety Jabril Peppers is no longer on the commissioner's exempt list, so he can practice and play. But the league is still looking at an October incident where a woman says Peppers physically assaulted her in his home. Peppers pleaded not guilty to multiple charges shortly after that arrest. You are not getting a Pistons-Raptors mention in these updates unless...
Down to 5. Got to get something going. Down to 3. Down to 2. Ivy off balance. Scores! Wow. Took it down to the final second, and the Pistons win it. 102-100 on the Jaden Ivey baseline shot.
As heard on Pistons radio, Detroit a 102-100 win over those Raptors, despite Toronto having the legendary R.J. Barrett.
Go fall in a hole, Bogus.
The Nets rallied for a 128-120 win at the Warriors. Golden State was up 18 in the third. The Celtics, a 126-94 rout of the Clippers. In Kristaps Porzingis' season debut, 16.6 rebounds, 2 blocks in 23 minutes, coming back from off-season ankle surgery. UCLA is number 1 in the AP women's poll for the first time ever after last weekend's upset of South Carolina. They dropped to number 4 after their 43-game win streak ends. They had been number 1 for 23 polls in a row. And Perloff, you love these hockey coaching changes. The Bruins fired Jim Montgomery last week.
My guy.
Then the Blues fired Drew Bannister on Sunday so they could hire Montgomery. And Montgomery coached the Blues to a 5-2 win at the Rangers last night.
There's never been a take that Perloff has been more right on about than hockey coaches, which is funny because it's not 100% your wheelhouse. But when you said there's only 15 hockey coaches that exist and they all just rotate around, I saw that Jim Montgomery story. I was like, man, Perloff nailed it.
My lack of knowledge about NHL helps me out there. There's only 5 coaches. But the Bruins, to understand, made a horrible mistake of firing. They're apparently a disaster of a franchise now. Montgomery... his famous story, flamed out for personal reasons in Dallas. He's an amazing story. I hope he does nothing but win there. Gets a cup. Mike Keenan in the mix anywhere?
I think Mike's aged out of the carousel.
Officially retired, I think. But you never know.
Who's the other guy? You got a Hancock or a Hitchcock?
There's a Mike Babcock and a Ken Hitchcock. And Ken is coaching right now? I'm not really sure, but yeah.
Sutter brother.
There's 30 teams and 31 coaches, so there's just one guy's out. It's like musical chairs.
He's not out. He's just on
waiting.
standby.
Yeah.
In case they need to bring in a lefty or something.
Yeah, he's like the backup pilot in case the first guy times out per union rules.
right.
Yeah.
And then he has to fly everybody to Dayton.
Oh, Ken Hitchcock is not behind a bench right now.
Okay. Is Mike Babcock?
I know who is. John Tortorella.
Yeah.
I mean,
Coaches your team.
Yeah, I know. How many teams does he coach?
Almost all of
them. The
them.
entire Northeast for sure.
I think he's coached an entire division by now.
He's coached for the Rangers, the Lightning, the Canucks, the Blue Jackets, and the Flyers.
Mike Babcock is also not employed right now.
Okay.
You guys are really nailing it.
Yeah, man, he killed the bit here. Why we need Babcock and Hitchcock?
Well, I'm sorry for providing facts.
You'll learn, Manny. You'll learn. Facts have no place on the show.
Manny, what arena do the Tampa Bay Lightning play in?
Tampa Bay Lightning, that would be Amalie Arena.
Wow.
What is that?
Yeah, who knows? Who cares?
Manny can name the presenting sponsor of every arena in North America, but has no idea what any of them do.
Amelie? You're right. Like, what is that? Is that the French independent movie Amelie? What is it? Amelie Arena. God, we got to figure out what this company does.
Amelie is an oil company, apparently.
I've got a story for you guys. Well, it's not my story, but wait, Bogish, I don't want to step on your toes on the update.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Okay, so stick around for this. So last night, I didn't watch.
Back to you.
I didn't watch the Manning cast, but you mentioned earlier, Perloff, that Owen and Luke Wilson were both guests on the show. And Owen Wilson told a story about Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer came up to him and was like, I'm sorry, how do I know you? Like, couldn't place Owen Wilson, the famous actor. And he said, well, I'm on your team in this celebrity flag football game, right?
Wow.
So then, nice.
Wow.
So then Mike Vrabel was the next guest on the Manning cast. And he told this story, a similar story about Urban Meyer, but obviously with a major twist.
You know, I can relate with Owen Wilson. I was listening earlier, and Urban Meyer asked him, do I know you? And Urban Meyer was coaching the Titans. He was coaching the Jaguars, and he actually said the same thing to me I said, yeah, I'm the head coach for the Titans, and I worked for you for 2 years. Oh, that's just like his line. Oh, yes. I love it.
Okay, so Urban Meyer must have some kind of amnesia because when he took over Ohio State, Mike Vrabel was on the staff, and he kept Mike Vrabel on the staff for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then he went to go coach the Titans, and here's Urban Meyer coaching the Jags, and he goes, I'm sorry, do I know you? Let alone Mike Vrabel being a Super Bowl champion.
That's bizarre. And like an Ohio State legend.
No.
And Urban Meyer was at Ohio State. And isn't Urban Meyer from Ohio, too?
Isn't this how we got the restaurant that got him in all that trouble?
Yeah, I mean, I actually double-checked that if Urban Meyer's from Ohio. But he should certainly know Mike Vrabel. Yeah, is Urban Meyer playing head games, or did he just forget?
Did it sound like the story was a joke? I think it's the truth.
That is insane. It's totally insane.
Do you believe it or no?
I tend to lean that this was a joke.
Vrabel was kidding?
No, that Urban Meyer was kidding, and maybe Vrabel didn't quite get it.
Oh, you think Urban Meyer goes up to famous people and he's like, do I know you?
I met Urban Meyer on Dan Patrick's show set. Dude does not tell jokes.
Oh.
There are no jokes.
Sorry, I'm trying to get him something.
That is, I mean, he makes Nick Saban look like Carrot Top. I'm telling you, he is not funny or ironic or any of that.
Remember we told this whole Jaguars coaching staff, tell me why you're not a loser and why I should keep you around.
Yeah.
He is stiff and serious.
Do you think he really didn't remember who Mike Vrabel was when he was on his staff? Imagine if you played for Urban Meyer, you'd be like, hey, coach. You'd be like, I'm sorry, you are.
I feel like when he kept Vrabel, that was kind of a big deal. Like, that wasn't like a nothing burger. Like, Vrabel was held on. Vrabel kind of had a big role there. Like, that would be surprised. It wasn't like this guy was, even if he was famous, it wasn't like this guy was a pencil pusher.
Yeah, maybe he was joking. Maybe one of them, maybe Vrabel was joking.
Well, here's the other part. This says 100 reasons why this is unforgivable if this is true from Urban Meyer. But the other part is you're coaching against the guy. Like Bill Belichick is building dossiers on Zach Taylor just on the off chance that they ever meet in an important game. You have no idea what your tendencies are of the coaches on the other sideline.
That's a good point.
Maybe that's why Urban Meyer was so successful in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think now we have one of our answers.
How awkward would it be at the end of a game and, the famous coach's handshake and Urban's like, whose hand? It's
nice
like,
to meet
he's
you.
shaking like the line judge's hand and be like, nice game. You'll get him next time.
You got a great
He doesn't
team.
even know which coach to
You're
shake
the
his hand.
quarterback's coach, right? No, I'm the head coach of the football team.
Bill Belichick, I'm sorry, you are. Your face looks familiar. I can't place you.
Special teams coordinator, right?
You guys remember the story that he didn't know who Aaron Donald was, right? When he was in Jacksonville too. That was another story. Where he was like, who's this 99 guy?
He wasn't trying to recruit.
He's really good.
He wasn't trying to recruit him coming out of Pitt.
Guess not. That was the story. I was like, this is not the first time we've heard about him not knowing something.
Maybe he's face blind. Have you ever heard of those people who don't remember anybody's faces? But that's like a serious medical condition.
He might have that.
He also probably could tell you, my guess would be that he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of like plays in games he's coached. So like maybe he uses all his brain power for stuff like that, not remembering names and faces.
Yeah, this was a story last night that Mike Vrabel told on the Manning cast that Urban Meyer didn't remember who he was, even though Mike Vrabel coached on his staff for 2 years at Ohio State.
Meyer reportedly told a Jaguar staffer, who's this 99 guy? I'm hearing he might be a problem for us.
How about when he played the Ravens and he turned to his coach, he goes, hey, that quarterback's really fast. We might want to worry about this guy running out of the pocket. That was...
I don't know how we could say we've done this before with some of our great debates, like the worst coach of all time or worst coaching situation of all time. Urban Meyer has to win this every time we do it.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that thing. Like that, we've done it before, but like if we ever want to do it again, I don't think we can. He's clearly the worst.
It's like worse than like a Rich Kotite or a Hugh Jackson. Like going over is not even as embarrassing as what happened with Urban Meyer.
There's some bad coaches.
He got fired because he was like feeling up some woman in a bar. Like
I don't even think that's why he got fired.
Well, yeah,
he got fired because they couldn't win.
I know, but that was the beginning of the end, basically, for him. I mean.
That video is so beyond embarrassing. And we've had some embarrassing videos. We got the Jerry Jones stuff we talked about last week, the photo It's so cringe.
As I always say, if you win, none of that matters at all.
Yeah, but if he didn't know who Aaron Donald was, then he wasn't close to winning because that guy's about to wreck your whole game plan.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good college coach, though. Had a good offense back in like 2011 or something.
Coach Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Undefeated season.
I wonder if, by the way, he's not done either. You know he's coming out of the booth.
I was thinking about that because there's not a lot of we don't think the college coaching carousel is going to be too crazy this year.
There's no one to hire.
But does Urban get? I mean, we were going to talk about Brian Kelly. We still can.
Well,
his fit at LSU.
He's just 60 years old. That's crazy that he's that young. I never would have thought that.
Kurt Signetti is 63, and he's Mr. Young.
Urban's
spring chicken.
Probably his health makes him a little older. But I mean, Urban. Now they have a 12-team playoff, and Marcus Freeman will play no teams and always be in he'll never get Notre Dame. Like Marcus Freeman will stick there. That was the job, right?
Yeah.
For Urban. So I don't know. Like, does Urban want to go into the SEC? Like again?
I mean, he knows how to win there. Why not?
I mean, I would think Florida would maybe look back at him.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're going to go with Billy Napier for next year. But what if Kalen DeBoer doesn't work out in Alabama? What about Brian Kelly at LSU? There's a couple teams out there.
I don't know if he wants to take that kind of pressure role. Like he probably wants to go somewhere where it's
he
a
went
little
to Florida
easier.
after Spurrier. I mean, that's a legendary guy.
I feel like Urban Meyer after Jacksonville, he wants to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to beat up on a conference and get there. I don't think he wants to go to LSU or Alabama. And also Alabama after Nick Saban, that'd be tough.
Do you think Nick Saban would let Urban Meyer coach Alabama?
No,
that's a big thing.
They're probably they have to be friends, right?
I don't know. Do you think that Urban Meyer recognizes Nick Saban when he sees him, or does he go, "I'm sorry, you look familiar, but I can't place you"?
I heard this Alabama coach has won a lot of games.
Yeah,
should I be worried about this?
The one at Auburn, right?
Thank you, Bogish. All right, coming up, we will get a little bit more into this idea about Brian Kelly and finishing up year 3 into year 4. Is he the right guy for LSU? Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay, so this article dropped on The Athletic, and it was asking a question about Brian Kelly and his fit at LSU, Pearl, because now we're going to be ending year 3. And the theme of the article was that he's actually further away from winning a national title now at LSU than he was at Notre Dame. And so, listen, the first 2 years of Brian Kelly, I think, in some ways overachieved. The first year they beat Alabama. They make it to the SEC championship game. The second year he's got the Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels. They just could never figure out the defense. So in some ways, I don't know, it feels like a wasted year. But now with a 12-team playoff, you know, Notre Dame is going to be at a real advantage here from here on out.
Yeah.
Because they don't, you know, their schedule is what it is. It's not the hardest. And no conference championship game. Okay, so you're never going to get a bye in this current format, but Notre Dame is going to get in based on the schedule, win-losses, and their brand. In some ways, maybe they're right. Maybe Brian Kelly would have been closer to a national title staying at Notre Dame. Now you're at LSU, where the fit's been good but not great yet. And I think that the expectations are obviously huge that you get in, and your path to getting into the college football playoff is markedly harder.
Absolutely. And also, too, it's a matter of style. He feels like coaching up different kinds of play. Like, you know, the thinking was he goes to LSU and has nothing but 5 stars everywhere, like Georgia or Alabama. Like, I don't know if that fits. Like, he feels like he wants a different team where he can just coach toughness into them like he was at Notre Dame, where it doesn't seem to jive with, like, a super talented. Remember the last LSU title team, they were just NFL talent in every position. Like, and I think that's what he thought. I'm going to get at LSU. I don't know if he's meant to coach a team like that. We were talking about Urban Meyer earlier or Nick Saban. Like, those guys seem to be able to coach a super team. Brian Kelly, A, hasn't built a super team, and B, I don't know if he'd be a great coach for that kind of team because he kind of gets into players. I just think the whole thing doesn't jive. I'm sorry, I haven't read the article, but I get the vibe being off, the match being off.
Yeah, so a couple things. It's not so much about getting into guys, though, because Saban does and Urban Meyer did. And I think it's not about the super team. It was a couple things. It was the fact that maybe Brian Kelly overcorrected when he first got there and got rid of too many guys on the staff who had ties to the program and ties to the area. And they didn't understand, or at least a few people who were again, granted anonymity for the article, but a couple people went on record to say, why are you trying to expand the footprint so far away from Louisiana and from the South when we have this rich recruiting area that if you just pay attention to this area, you'll be able to do everything and get the type of team that you need. So that was one thing. Two, apparently LSU not as flush with cash as everyone seems to think. I find that a little hard to believe. I can't imagine that they would be hurting for donors and that they couldn't get into the portal and get whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I saw that Amazon special on NIL at LSU with Livy Dunn and Jaden Daniels. Like, it seemed like there was a lot of money floating around that program. Shaq could pay for everything.
I mean, Angel Reese, I think there's a lot of money floating around at LSU. I don't think they were hurting for that. But that was one thing that got brought up in the article, that maybe they're not as flush with cash because, and one of the reasons they said is they just lost Bryce Underwood, who is this prize recruit, who's a quarterback who's from Michigan. And they lost him, they think, partially because of the NIL. I also think Tom Brady was calling the kid on the side and trying to flip his recruitment back to Michigan. Maybe they shouldn't have even gone after somebody like that. Was that a waste of time? Was he always going to end up going home? I don't know.
Well, also, too, the funny thing is, like, Brian Kelly now, it's fair to say, because of the way this year's gone, maybe a little bit of hot seat.
But
my point is, I don't know if he can develop a young quarterback right now. I think at LSU famously has two of the greatest transfers in college football history in Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. Like, dude, I would go old, although Jim Nagy just told us that Nussmeier might go back anyway. But I would not focus on high school quarterbacks. Like, he's got to win now, and it feels like he should bring in a 22-year-old transfer, a Dylan Gabriel type.
Yeah, and listen, maybe Nussmeier comes back and they're not looking for anybody. So, the family thing.
I'm here with my family.
I think that was sort of brushed off as, all right, a little awkward, very awkward, faking an accent, but can be forgiven. Not the worst misstep in the entire world, trying to seem and feel a little more familiar than he actually is. But really, have they done a good enough job of just recruiting the area, I think, is the bigger issue. So to be fair to LSU, they have brought more guys back on the staff who were part of championship teams, and they're trying to rectify that. But so far, I don't know.
It's going to be really hard. It's so funny. I feel bad for all these SEC coaches because with NIL, like, you're just not going to be able to get that big of an edge. You're not going to be able to bring in a bunch of superstars there. You're going to have
Lane Kiffin just did, and look at what happened. He basically got a super team. This was the best team Ole Miss has had. They were set up on paper, and then you go and lose a big game, and what was it all for?
I don't know. Quinshon Judkins will be in the national title game, and he just left Mississippi. I'm not sure it's that obvious. I mean, come on. That's not a super team that's going to win the whole thing. We know that now. But even coming into the year, it's not like they were the number one team. I just don't think you can.
They were 2-touchdown favorite against Florida. If they cover that spread, I think we're talking about them being a title contender.
Super team for Ole Miss?
I mean, Trey Harris, yeah. Jackson Dart, yeah. I think.
Well, still, I mean, what were they, preseason number 6? I mean, they're obviously. Ohio State is a super team. Georgia is traditionally a super team. Maybe not as much this year. But Ohio State has like 16 pro players out of their 22 starters. That's a super team. Anyway, I think it's going to be really hard. I don't think he's going to be able to recreate Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. It's going to be really hard for him to do that here.
Yeah, I don't think that Kelly's on the hot seat. So the buyout is huge. It's like $65 million, and it goes down by about $10 million every year because that's about what he's averaging. And apparently he's really tied at the hip to the athletic director. So I think if something were going to happen, maybe they're both out, but I doubt that this is going to happen soon. It's just interesting because when he got hired, it felt like kind of an odd fit, to be fair.
It always felt like an odd fit, but I just don't think you could really blame him. Like, it's just the Notre Dame thing just seems so like ramming your head into a brick wall knowing that nothing's going to change. Like, even though the college football playoff was expanding, we assumed that was coming. The idea that they were ever going to crack through, it just didn't seem like that was the case for all the reasons we know why it's tough to win at Notre Dame. LSU seemed to give you a better shot just because of the money, the SEC, like all the pedigree behind LSU. It just hasn't worked out quite yet. I'm not saying you got to bury him, but he's definitely further away now than he would have been if he was at Notre Dame now.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? If you knew then what you know now.
Yeah, but
12-team college football playoff. Do you ever leave Notre Dame?
Let's see what happens in Notre Dame in the playoff before we say they're on the brink.
No, but they're going to keep getting in year after year.
I know. Let's see. And first of all, at a certain point, though, if they don't show up well, I mean, the committee's eventually going to adjust. They have to play somebody.
I don't think so. I think that the Notre Dame is that weird other category because they're not in a conference and because they have the brand. I think there's always going to be a place for them in this 12-team playoff as long as they don't totally fall on their face.
We'll see. I just think that and also, too, at the SEC at a certain point, are they going to blow this whole thing up?
Well, that's another question. Thank you to DJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Bogish and Kaplan and the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers. Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, who joined us. Perloff and I and the whole crew will be back with you tomorrow. See you then.